No, I didn't say that. I said I know how most people interpreted it, which is why it's getting so much backlash. When we're talking about like how people look like on Instagram, and there are different standards for men and women, and whether we're supposed to, this is like it's a gendered thing. Like generally, the people that obsess the most about height are usually insecure dudes online. Well, you have to be careful because you're loading this with a lot of assumptions. Like when you say he's not making a lot of really good points, he is to people that are listening for a different type of thing. Sure. I don't agree with selling the idea that the left and the right are politically the same. Wait, what? This doesn't track with any of the Democratic Party's voting during the primaries. Hillary crushed Bernie. What do you mean?
No,
that's why it's called a hypothetical, Hasan, because it's not something that actually happened. That's the point of calling it a hypothetical. You know that, right?
But try to defend Kamala Harris's truancy policies by saying the ends justify the means.
I've never said that actually at all.
Why do you embarrass yourself?
Please tell me which Twitter thread you're pulling this from. I really want to read the headlines.
Below Manuel Ferrero, we have. By the way, I'm loving the new setup. It's like your old house. That's way better like this. Oh, the Red Bull pulling out. Still up for my fridge. I like that. Haircut looking good. Beard and goatee. Dude, I'm liking this old, I hate when viewers do old train, new train. I hate that shit, but I got to do it myself and be a hypocrite right now. Because the old vibes are coming back, Destiny. It's like the old house setup, dude. The hair, the beard, everything's coming back, dude. I think you're evening out. You're coming back. Dude, hey, my man, looking fucking good. Destiny, welcome, brother.
Thanks for having me, buddy. I can't wait to scream at people tonight.
Me too, dude. I can't wait either.
Train. I just want to tell you that the podcast that he's on, they made 2 tweets that were about 10 times worse than anything that you tweeted, and they've caused more drama this past week than probably anything that's happened on.
All right. We can. The last thing we got in trouble for, I really don't. That's bullshit. No one's gonna remember that in a week.
Okay, well, how bad are the tweets? I mean, I don't even think my tweet was that bad. Obviously, you and Destiny don't like it, but I don't think my tweet was that bad. What's his tweet?
All right, so it wasn't mine. It was another member of the show.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't do any. I personally didn't do anything, but just to clarify, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. Someone who is on my show. Before I begin with this, are you familiar with the film Salò?
No.
It's just a movie about rich elites practicing sexual sadism. Can't imagine why people would think about it now, but he posted a screenshot from that movie, one of the particularly disturbing scenes, and said that it was Mayor Pete's second place victory party in New Hampshire, and everyone on Twitter just decided it was homophobic, even though he's just saying that. Pete is a mildly fascist person who would do all the stuff that they're doing in the movie. He's Pete Buttigieg, the presidential candidate.
Yeah.
This is one of those tweets where it's like, yeah, for like 5 days, everyone's going to pretend it's the worst thing they've ever seen. It traumatized them. They have to fucking go into hiding. But try bringing this up to someone a year from now. No one will know what the fuck you're talking about.
So what did you say? Or what did this guy say?
I linked it if you want to see.
Yeah, Slasher just linked it.
Okay. Is it wait, what the hell is this?
It might be TOS to open on stream though. So
yeah,
I mean, it's not showing any sexual organs.
There might be a dick in that picture in the background, actually.
Potentially, yeah. Better safe than sorry. I would hate for this tweet to get you fucked up with Twitch.
No worry, I'm not gonna show it.
Yeah, there is.
Wait, there's a dick? Where?
Yeah.
Men is very good at spotting.
Oh wow, that's a nice one, dude.
Yeah, you see it. Yeah, you can see it.
That's a nice one, dude. Wow.
It looks like an arm.
Not bad. Not bad.
Nice.
Good. Well, good for that guy.
Oh damn! When you see it, okay, there we go.
It's pretty standard.
What are they doing? Cutting his tongue?
Well, it's sort of a torture scene.
Oh man. Pretty standard.
You know what? I got to be honest with you. I wasn't super familiar with this movie. I don't know how he pulled it out, but some people are more into movies than others. Go for it.
Wait, so are they shaving his tongue?
Shaving some skin off it.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, they're putting something on it.
I mean,
I don't get it.
Is he making a joke that the Buttigieg staff party is just a bunch of men having sex?
No. That's absolutely not the joke. The context, what he's saying is that they're, I don't know, you familiar with, the Monster of Florence?
No.
It was this case of, rich elites in Florence, they would perform sort of like sadomasochistic sexual abuse and murder on people, and it was just like it was a huge depraved thing, and they tried to pin it on poor people, and just a case of, it's like Jeffrey Epstein. It's like someone gets so powerful, they're like, what can I get away with logically? And that's kind of what's going on in this movie. He's saying that's what they're doing, because this isn't like gay guys having consensual sex. This is them torturing boy. So
Pretty sure the only reason the tweet works is because Pete is gay, and I'm pretty sure most people know that.
No,
that is 100% true. You can try to draw allusions to fascism. I guess maybe if you don't know what fascism is or have any fucking idea about like anything having to do with fascism at all, but like the idea that like, oh yeah, well the average person that retweeted this definitely knew about the Florence movie and saw the the parallels to fascism. It's funny because he's gay. That's like a big criticism that a lot of Bernie bros have been getting lately.
That may be how you see it, but people make the exact same type of fucking jokes about Hillary Clinton.
About her getting gay raped while she's gay in a climate.
Do you think the joke is that he's saying that Pete is the boy?
I don't know what the joke is, but I know that right now there's
you just said you knew what the joke is. You just said that you knew it was a gay joke, and that's why it's getting
No, I didn't say that. I said I know how most people interpreted it, which is why it's getting so much backlash. And if you're going to sit here and tell me that most people know about the Florence movie and interpreted it as some whatever bullshit, you're deluding yourself. But we both know that that's not true, right?
Well, I mean, the more
there's a reason why you couldn't answer that question. Like, it's true.
I can't answer
it's true, dog.
Don't shut the fuck up.
Come on, dude. What about people?
Let me fucking answer.
Yeah.
The reason people retweet it a lot and it has 9,700 likes is because it became a huge subject of controversy. That happens to every tweet that becomes a fucking topic of the day. And you fucking know that as well.
I know that right now there's a lot of really weird like physical appearance attacks on Pete and a lot of really weird homophobic tweets about Pete, about him not being gay enough, about him not kissing his husband in the perfectly gay way or whatever. And then this just kind of like adds to that whole environment. And I mean, like, most people associate Chapo with being, the big like Bernie bro crowd. So it's not too surprising that you would get that kind of backlash. Like, you'd have to be pretty fucking retarded to tweet that out and not assume that people are going to interpret it in a homophobic manner. But I mean, like, maybe you guys are, so I don't know. But you and me both know that that's how that tweet was going to be interpreted, no matter like what the fuck your intention was behind it, right?
Not necessarily. You really think shut the fuck up. Do you really think he anticipated a fucking 2-day news cycle about it being homophobic? It's very clear what he meant. If you follow him, if you know him, if you know the type of jokes he makes.
So I'm sorry. So tell me what the tweet meant again. Can you?
The tweet meant that Pete is a member, jokingly saying that Pete is a member of an elite circle of sadomasochistic freaks, as depicted in the film Salò.
And you think when tweeting that scene, that particular scene,
gay sex looks like, if that's what you think gay sex is a representation of gay sex, go for it. You're free.
Wow, so I'm the real homophobe. Wow, you turned that one around. Man, I've heard that from conservatives so many times. So I'm curious. So when you tweeted that particular scene, or when that scene was tweeted with the massive gay orgy and then the reference to Pete's campaign, everybody's like, oh yeah, people will totally get like the fascist undercurrent that we're going for in this tweet. Amidst the current climate of homophobic attacks that are getting like thousands of fucking likes and retweets on Twitter. That's definitely how this one is going to be interpreted. There's no way you're that clueless, right?
Do you think that you should just disqualify any joke or any tweet based on the worst way it could be interpreted?
No, but I think that's not that big of a stretch when you look at it. And I mean, like, you would argue that you should probably have some level of responsibility being the largest podcast on Patreon.
How many times have you said the N-word on stream?
I think 2 or 3 times.
You don't believe that at all. Because
Wait, what does that have to do? Wait, hold on. What was that pivot? Wait, what does that have to do with this discussion?
No, let me finish.
Wait, how many times have I called a black guy the N-word? Because that's more comparable here.
That's my fucking point. I'm saying that someone could ungenerously interpret it that way, even though that's not what you meant.
No, I don't think anybody would see my stream where I've called a black person the N-word. That's never happened before. Whereas your tweet is like pretty clearly. I don't have to interpret your tweet to find a name. Like, it's literally about Pete. Like, you have it right in the tweet, dog. There's no interpretation.
But do you think it's homophobic? Do you think the fucking tweet?
Do I think it's homophobic? I think that you knew it would have been interpreted in a homophobic manner. I don't know if you guys.
I did not post it.
Okay, yeah, or whoever posted it must have known. I mean, like, you guys are involved in media cycles enough and social media enough to know that it's going to be interpreted that manner. But I mean, I don't know. I just think it's funny to see.
Every time that you make a sort of risque post, you expect there's going to be a mild degree of backlash. You never know how big.
Wait, why is it risque? What's risque about calling Pete a fascist?
Because this is just like a completely ridiculous joke that the events of the film Salò are taking place in his backstage party. You know, it's a fucking ridiculous joke. That's the point of it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Everybody that's familiar with the film and then familiar with the comparisons, of course.
Okay, well, I'm glad. Slasher, I don't know. Wait, does Chapo know Destiny, or do they know each other?
Do you guys have a
I'm
history?
familiar with them.
Oh, okay.
Their community hates me. I'm the fucking ugh. Or well, for who even knows about me, I guess. But yeah.
Okay, well, you two.
They actually both have, I would say, similar communities, even though you might say
Absolutely not. I am this about all the brain dead Bernie or Buster fucking crazy lunatics. The everybody to the right of Bernie is a fucking fascist. That shit. Hell no, dude. I excised all that cancer from my community. I went through that stage of political theory when I was 16. I don't need them in my community today. I'm good on that.
Do you have any Kamala Dead Enders in there?
Kamala Dead Andrews.
Dead Enders.
Dead Enders? What the fuck does that mean? They were Kamala supporters?
Oh yeah, no, there are Kamala or bust people.
Oh, I'm sure there were. I don't know if they're politically relevant. I don't know if that was even like a large portion of Kamala's following, but
Wait,
No,
so
it was an online portion. I don't really think it's a moral panic.
wait, so Felix
But
is
I'm proud of people like that.
wait, so Felix is following. Wait, like they're extremely liberal? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, no. If you say liberal, they're so liberal to you that if you call them liberal, they would actually like and scream in fucking agony.
Oh fuck. So his viewer base wouldn't like me at all then.
No, they probably would because they hated identity politics and all that shit. So they'd probably love you.
Did any of you guys see the Oscars?
Just
Clips.
highlights. Yeah, clips.
Yeah.
Did you guys
just
see
highlights.
Parasite?
Yeah, killed it.
Do you guys think it should have won over 1917?
I didn't see 1917, but I know Parasite was fucking amazing.
I saw both movies. I thought Parasite was pretty good. I don't think it was like super duper ultra amazing. I don't understand where all the hype comes from. I mean, it's not a bad movie. I don't know. It didn't seem like particularly super amazing to me. I saw 1917. 1917 was really cool. I don't know if I saw enough movies this year to say that either one should have like what deserves like best picture of the year or whatever. I'm not sure, but
How does it stack up for Saving Private Ryan? Because that's like my litmus test for like World War II. Well, 1917 would be World War I, but like, how does it stack up? Like better?
Man, I'm not like one of those guys that watches like a fuck ton of like war movies.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah,
like
like
Saving
war
Private Ryan was like really, really good. Probably like the best like war movie that I've ever seen. But I haven't
Very
seen
good.
like 50 trillion of them.
I think
Yes.
it comes close to Saving Private Ryan in terms of like intensity and like what it makes you feel. It's like war movies are kind of like a played out genre, you know, like in terms of, I guess like what you're going to get from them. And 1917 felt like it shook it up a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
1917 is definitely worth watching. It's a unique experience, I think.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Today I woke up to some tweet going viral. People were tagging me in it, saying, "What the fuck is this?" And I'm gonna be real with you. This is the stupidest shit I've seen in my fucking life. Basically, there is a man sitting in the back of a plane, and he's in the last seat. His chair can't recline. There's a woman in front of him where her seat can recline, and she reclined it. She's hanging out, and he's hitting it because he's annoyed because he's acting like he has no room. And now it's fucking this huge fucking controversy and political / social political whatever the fuck issue that the internet's divided, Twitter's divided, everyone's going at each other. When in reality, in my opinion, this is just some shit they should have just talked out like fucking adults, and we should have moved on from it. How the fuck? Why are things like this becoming more and more of a world news type of thing instead of just two people saying, "Hey, dickwad, move your chair up," or "Hey, dickwad, no," right? Like it's a simple thing like that. This dude is acting like a fucking 9-year-old. Like, who the fuck hits a chair like that? Like, not to mention he had all the room in the world. Not to mention, even if your seat can't recline, let's be honest. When people recline their seat when I'm sitting there, I don't recline my seat just because they recline their seat. I keep my seat fucking straight. And, like, you just deal with it. It's a fucking plane. Shit's uncomfortable. Even if you sit first class, it's still uncomfortable. Planes
But
are
that's 'cause
shit.
you have tiny legs, though. You like if you had big legs like mine.
True. Okay, good one.
And also,
Oh, wait. I never saw this phrase as a who's right or who's wrong. It's not your fault if the guy behind you doesn't have a seat that reclines. If it matters that much to you, then pay for a different fucking seat.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't give me this fucking just buy more. Like, if you're already flying a fucking plane, you're probably doing okay anyway. Like, come on. Like, you can spring the extra $12 for Economy Plus on, like, your 2-hour flight. Like, you'll be okay.
but even the recline, like, does it actually even affect you that much? Like, if you do a full recline, like, what are you limited? Are
So
you
the number one
vastly
annoying
limited?
thing, the number one annoying thing is if somebody fully reclines in front of you and you are using like a laptop or something, it fucks with your screen. It like moves it down and you can't look at it right. That's the most annoying thing for me. But I mean, if they do that, I just read a book or go to sleep.
Yeah, it's also like that guy probably, it made him psycho about just the idea of his personal space being invaded or something. But still, like, just punching the back of the seat like a child.
Dude, like, yeah, what the hell is this? This is stupid.
The dude has issues. That's, I mean,
Yeah.
he's just
Yeah,
got
there's no
issues.
doubt about that. I mean, I got a problem with the woman just recording it behind her, like, oh, I'm upset about this. I'm gonna record it. It's like, why don't you stand up, turn around, and like, hey, asshole, what the hell are you doing? Like, I mean,
man.
it's everybody wants to get their phone out first with everything these days. Like somebody's getting beat up like a grandma. People are like, oh, world star. They're like looking down. They're like, it's like, dude, help her. Like what? Like everybody just wants to record shit. Like
Dude,
I thought it was ridiculous.
even reading this tweet, this video has the internet legitimately divided. Dude is in the last seat on the plane. Seat doesn't recline. Hers does, and she reclines. She's upset and is punching her seat incessantly, so she records. Who is right? Who is wrong? See you at 7 p.m. on Fox 5 Line. Dude, like, are you serious?
Why are all the like gamers on this tweet? Like Co-Carnage is in here, Andy Milanakis. Like, why is the Twitch crowd? Like, what? How did this? Hit,
Everyone
like, the
commented, dude.
Well, probably
Summit
because-
commented, Asman, everyone.
What the fuck?
Well, also because like if you're a Twitch streamer like these guys, you probably fly a lot too, right? We fly a lot generally.
Yeah.
True. That is
I'm just
true.
surprised to see like this usually is like one of those tweets that you just see in like the trending tab or something, but it's like every fucking streamer is on this thread for some reason. Like Co-Carnage is coming in here just like coming in like I'm surprised. I don't know.
I never recline.
Yeah, I don't
always
usually
never
either.
reclining.
I never recline, but it's not because I give a fuck about the person behind me. It's just because it's not usually enough to be able to sleep comfortably anyway.
Yeah, it does nothing. It actually does fuck. Like, dude, it's just even first class does nothing. None of these things do anything, dude. Planes are just dog shit. Like unless you go into one of those huge jumbo jets, like when you go international, those things go all the way back. You can actually fucking lay down fully. It's fucking great. But
Well, first class usually you can like recline like all the way if you're on unless you're on like an hour flight or some shit. Like usually, those have like the sleep ins or whatever. Or I guess that's usually international flights, or like if you're doing LA to fucking New York or some shit or DC.
yeah.
Usually, 6 hours plus for the sleepaway thing. But yeah, no, I mean, air travel is fucking awful. You feel terrible. The main problem is the legs. Few things solve that. That's why Jeffrey Epstein had so many friends. He had a plane.
Well, that's a lot different though. Jeffrey Epstein's friends usually fit really easily in the seats, didn't they?
Oh my god.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my god, dude.
My bad.
Dude, I've always heard of this like dark side of Twitter, but I've never hit it. I know Destiny's got into it before. Like people say Twitter's like super toxic.
Every platform is super toxic depending on which sludge pool you go into. Just depends on
Is that
depends on
right?
what you do. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Instagram is really toxic for women, a lot of women, because everyone posts their perfect life and they fake whatever they're doing, and then it puts pressure on like women to always look good and do makeup and do Photoshop and do all that other shit. And
I thought-
Twitter, it's a totally different type of toxic, but it's definitely toxic.
I thought
Yeah,
that
that's what
Instagram
they-
is like they really like really good looking women in photos and stuff. No.
You just described every single facet of human existence ever.
Yeah, wait, hold on.
People like only like the really good looking women.
I have such a big problem with the way you worded that, Slasher. Hold on. Women have problem on Instagram because everyone fakes how they look. What do you mean? Like it's the women that are filtering
I
and
know.
makeuping. So like let's not pretend like
Whoa, but it comes from two places. It's not just a one-dimensional problem. Women do it because if men don't, men are like, oh, you look disgusting, you look sick, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, of course women play into it.
so
It
it's the
just
men,
happens
so it's the
from,
men's
like,
fault.
I didn't say it's the men's fault. I said it's a little bit more complicated and it's trying to blame like, oh, it's the women, oh, it's the men, blah, 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 blah. That either side, that's a really one-dimensional way of looking at it.
Well,
it's an entire like problem.
I
in
wasn't
terms of-
looking at one dimensionally. I just had a problem with him saying everyone does this, so women have problems. But it's the very people that are saying that they have the problems. All their shit's photoshopped and filtered. I just find it hypocritical. I don't know. Not to mention, I don't know. It just seems a little weird.
I mean, anecdotally, women use Instagram more than the other platform. It's usually
they do.
women's primary platform is Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but there are more women that are using like Photoshop to hide their images than there are men. I mean, I actually don't know. I'm just going to assume more often women are using that type of things, and it is putting pressure on other women. It is half from men, who want women to look a certain way, or they're going to comment and talk shit, even though men are going to talk shit to women anyway. But I think more of the pressure is women on other women, seeing other people's perfect lives and trying to imitate.
In my opinion, that's just a human thing. Like, I don't even think that thing, like for some reason in today's society, we somehow try to reach to any way we can to make it into a gender thing. In my opinion, it's a human thing. Every human being tries to make their life look, or not every, most human beings try to make their life look a certain way on social media, when in reality, it's most likely the opposite, because at the end of the day, we're all the same. We all go through problems, struggles, fights, right? So I don't know why everything is tied into some sort of political gender or sex issue.
Okay,
It's
politics is a code word for this is something I don't want to talk about. Like, imagine if you're at work and you're like, man, I'm not getting scheduled enough hours. This is bullshit. Like, why is management fucking me so hard? And you're like, listen, scheduling hours is not a management thing. It's a human thing. Sometimes we just can't schedule the hours that we want. Why are you making it political? Like, when we're talking about like how people look like on Instagram and there are different standards for men and women and whether they're supposed to, this is like it's a gendered thing. Like, of course, like gender is involved in this. Like, how could you look at it any other way?
Because people who try to make their lives look different via social media versus what it actually isn't a gender thing. Isn't gender specific. It's human specific. Humans do that in general. It's a psychological human thing. It's not a woman thing or a man thing. It's a human being thing. The management thing isn't applicable at all to this conversation, because the management and scheduling is for your job specific. It is a specific job thing. So you can't do it outside of the job and say, oh, it's a human thing. It's a scheduling thing for the specific job. But making your life look a certain way is not a specific thing to sex or gender.
Well, yeah, making your life look really good on Instagram is the thing that, like, I guess like most people try to do. But the way that we go about doing it is vastly different between men and women.
I can agree with that. Yeah. So for men, it might be, cars, riches. For women, it might be a good boyfriend. The different things like this. It could vary. It could also be cars for women, and for men, it could also be relationship. It could be both. But yeah, you're right. It could vastly. Wait a second. I feel like. Hold on, dude. I feel like. Never mind. Actually.
What? You got to say it now. You can't say
I feel like if we actually went down to. It's vastly different for men and women. That I feel like that comment in today's world could also be portrayed as a sexist one, if you think about it, right?
Well, it's just a description of reality. Like, men and women have different standards.
Well, I would agree with that, actually. Description of reality, correct? I would agree with that part. I'm just saying that, like, dude, I feel like I'm so confused in today's society to which is okay to say and which is not. Like, I would agree it's a description of reality, but in another context of another podcast, I could see that being sexist to assume that there is differentiation in what men and women see as happy and successful, right? I don't know. It's just weird to me. It's weird. I don't know.
So the difference is it comes down. It's the difference between prescription and description. So description is like you describe, like, oh, well, this is the way things are. Prescription is saying, well, this is the way things ought to be. That's usually where you get hung up between, like, well, is that sexist or not? Like, it's not really sexist to describe like a certain reality, like, oh, like men tend to do this, women tend to do this. The sexist part usually comes from the prescriptions where you're like, oh, well, men ought to do this or women should only do this. That's like
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Quick and easy guiding.
There was a topic. Lizzo was being interviewed and she said people have to stop men have to stop objectifying women. It's not like, she's like, it's not like we talk about your dick sizes, do we? And like everyone's like, yeah, you fucking do.
Yep.
So, but this is literally an interview. It's a quote. Like, she said this and I'm just shocked. So like I could add 6 more fucking things they talk about to a list of just dick size, like height, right? We talk about height. Height is a big one, right? Like, so she says it in her song as well, right? So it's like, it's just a little weird to me how you would try to, I mean, I understand like hopping on that bandwagon for some clout right now, especially in 2019, 2020, but to say that, I think that's going a little too far, in my opinion.
I should send her one day of my DMs and she'll change her mind about this, for sure.
Dude, I just had deja vu. I feel like we've been right here, and then I feel like in 20... No, I'm not going to say it. That's actually crazy right there. But anyways...
I'm trying so hard not to go full SJW train. I'm just waiting for the right topic, okay?
Wait, could you go SJW on that if you wanted to?
Well, firstly, the men are the ones that make the deal about height more than fucking women do. Like, sure, we can all find like the random dumb bitch that tweets some shit about like, guys, you know, if you're not at least 6, whatever, blah blah blah. First of all, I'm pretty sure half of those are fucking women trolling at this point. Like, generally, the people that obsess the most about height are usually insecure dudes online that are like obsessed with being fucking alphas or whatever. I find that men obsess way more about height than women do. But I don't know, maybe it's just my personal experience.
Well.
For an anecdotal thing, almost every guy that I've met on Twitch who is supposedly like 5'10", 5'11" has been my height or shorter, which has been fascinating to me, given that like I'm only 5'8", and apparently everybody says they're like 5'10" or 5'11". I don't know. I don't know.
The amount of girls in my industry that told me I'm so glad today I'm working with someone that's taller than me that's a lot of girls say that.
You must know that your experience is pretty exceptional, right? Like
but totally. But that's why I'm saying like I think women care also as much as size, but also because those women work with a lot of different men too. So like they get to meet more guys with whom they're gonna have sex, and so it makes a huge difference for them.
I mean, I've seen some ruthless
dicks
out there. No, just the women trolling, like Destiny said. I've seen some pretty. They're like talking about like the 666 rule, like 6 figures, 6 feet tall, and 6 inches at least, or something like that. I've seen some pretty like ruthless profiles from.
So Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Anyway,
It feels like you have to be really careful, especially Train. This is your ballpark, man. Don't blackpill yourself so hard that you like try to like write yourself out because you're like you think you're 5'9" and your life is like over or some shit. Like there's like dating apps are going to be harder because you're like in a massive pool of guys with a smaller pool of women. So obviously the women are going to be way more selective there. But I mean, like there's plenty of guys in real life that are like 5'7", 5'6" even that date like really hot girls, and you can find them like.
Realistically, if you want an actual easy guide, there's 3 easy steps if you're short. 1, stream on Twitch and have 1,000+ viewers. 2, have a lot of money. Or 3, have a big dick. If you have one of those 3, you should be fine. Until you hit a certain age where the maturity outweighs the superficial and shallow expectations that different people should have based on preconceived notions of different genders and sizes and shit like that, right? So basically just have a big dick, be rich, or have a lot of viewers until you hit probably, I'd say 28, 29, 30, and then at that age, maturity takes over and personality is all that matters. So
that's why it doesn't work. Never mind.
Yeah. If it's any consolation, I've probably heard more women just say they don't really give a shit that much about height versus women who prioritize it.
Like, I have heard the taller one before that most women just like want a guy that's like 1 or 2 inches tall.
Yeah, no, they don't really.
Yeah,
most of that shit that you see online, where it's like if you're shorter than 6'1", kill yourself. That's just a woman like fucking around. They're just trying to engage with farm or like make someone feel bad. I wouldn't stress about it.
With everybody here, I'd like to announce, guys. At 100 subs gifted, I'll be voting for Bernie. 200 subs gifted, I'll be voting for Trump. 300 subs, I'll be voting for Bloomberg. And 400, I'll be running myself. So, hey, guys, I'm just letting you know now. You want to win me over? It's that simple, baby.
Bloomberg is paying for influencers now. He might give those subs to you himself if you reach out to his campaign, my dude.
Train, he's not even kidding. I think I could literally probably get Bloomberg to pay you a ton of money to promote him.
I had my manager reach out. Hell yeah, that dude's fucking throwing money, all sorts of money around. You might as well.
Really, dude? Yo, Devin, hit him up, dude. Devin, hit him up for me, dude. I'm not even kidding.
Okay. All right.
I'm not even kidding. That'd be
serious?
Great. I'm dead serious. Hit him up, dude. Fuck it, dude. This guy's 61.5.
Do you actually believe the message?
Well,
dude,
I think
what
that
message?
the advertising flyers he had, the campaign he was working through, you have to be genuine and you have to believe what you're saying or whatever. Like they have like all those standard lines, but you could sell it, Trent.
Dude, the only message I need here is, listen, dude. Listen, I'm gonna take the words out of Destiny's mouth. Hey, I'm a goddamn capitalist. Okay, dude. Listen. Hey, that's the only message I need. Hey, bring it. Okay, is everyone gonna save me and laugh from that? No. Okay.
Bloomberg hired Fire Festival promoters to make his campaign memes.
Damn.
The ads from influencers are designed to make Bloomberg look, quote, cool. Nice.
I mean, when you have this much money, you're probably in every kind of advertising. He's probably just shotgunning it.
He's dropping 10 to 30K on those memes.
What's his total? What's his
A lot of
total
memes.
like? Spend?
I don't know what his total ad spend is
He's-
on memes alone, but
yeah.
he's at 360 million, I believe, across the board on just Super Tuesday states.
How does that
Yeah.
compare with like other candidates?
It's not even close.
doesn't.
Fucking blows it out of the water. I mean,
It
Bloomberg
doesn't.
Bloomberg is spending at the rate of $4.5 million a day. No one can really keep up that pace.
Isn't it historically accurate that people that spend more money on campaigns get more, have a much higher chance at winning?
94% of the time, the side that spends more money wins the election.
But it feels like,
sometimes-
do people
so-
know who Bloomberg is? Like,
Well, they've seen the ads.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Generally, like voters are familiar with him. I mean, he was a 3-term mayor of New York. He's been sort of a national figure. He's polling like decently in some places. Some people think that's sort of a placeholder effect where when people don't know who they're going to vote for, they'll just give you the name of the person they recognize the most. And that's sort of what happened with Biden before his actual performance collapsed. People couldn't pick who they actually wanted to vote for. So they're like, fuck it, Joe Biden. And it turned out none of those people showed up.
Yeah. The other problem is that when you run $300 million worth of ads for yourself, you're basically selling a product that's uncontested. So not a single person, like if he was going into debates, if he was actually having a conversation, if the media was like actually looking at, Bloomberg's track record accurately, there would at least be a conversation about like his faults. But right now, it's virtually as though he's going into every news network and saying, I'm the fucking best. And not a single person is actually providing any sort of retort towards that. So it's uncontested. It's just free, great positive messaging for Michael Bloomberg everywhere you go.
Well, Hasan, don't you think they're sort of, I don't know, it's maybe a little conspiracy theory, but I believe it a little. I feel like they had it their way. Bloomberg's team, Bloomberg himself, keeps him out a few of the debates. I mean, like the sort of sleek, hyper spendy way that he's getting his name out there seems to be achieving its immediate goals for them. But like, you put this guy, this 5'4" man who's completely fucking unlikable in every way, and has just like a ton of political baggage, ton of personal baggage. It starts to, at a certain point, you can't spend your way past the ceiling.
Right.
Yeah,
This is why people from other campaigns were pushing to even have him on the debate stage next.
Yeah.
And like, if you've seen the way that he answers questions about his past, man, if you thought Pete fucked up some of his answers, holy shit. Bloomberg is like shuffling his papers around like a kid who's being asked to turn in his math homework and he didn't do the assignment. Like, it's so fucking embarrassing. Like watching him try to answer some of the questions about like his record in New York. Yikes.
What happens when people start asking him about Epstein? I mean, the networks won't.
Well,
do
you don't
that,
even
but
have. I
he
mean,
gets
like,
that trail
I don't know
more,
if I don't think the networks will touch that, but like, you don't
the
even have to
networks
go
won't,
to.
but like, yeah,
You don't even have to go to those types of questions to like have him like fumble around. It seems like he's not really good. Yeah. All right,
That's
I'm
good,
sorry.
yeah.
Can we? Are you deleting this VOD? I don't want to fuck up my Bloomberg sponsorship train. So.
Right.
Oh,
I was
no.
about to tell you.
Well, Ryan Lockwood, I'm going to include everyone here. Lockwood, if you had to speed run this election, who would you say wins this, and by what margin?
I don't know. I'd probably say, I don't know. It's kind of been like a shit show. I myself, I will state that I am like pretty much apolitical. I haven't really been paying much attention.
Most of America.
I would say, I don't know. I mean, Trump's a powerhouse. I mean, I'd probably say Trump will probably win again.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Whoa,
I didn't think it'd be you in this podcast sparking the controversy.
I don't think that's
Okay.
even a controversial take.
I don't
Right?
Oh, we have a double backup here.
No, you got to triple.
I don't think so either.
I don't
That's
think
a
anyone
triple.
in here would disagree that Trump has a really real shot at winning the presidential election. I don't think anybody would think that. Like, he absolutely does.
Yeah, he's
wait
been
a minute.
fundraising since his inauguration. He's a fucking powerhouse.
Wait, aren't his polls
95% supporting the Republican Party currently? His support in the Republican Party hasn't gone beneath 80% since the first day of his presidency. Republicans absolutely love him. The economy's doing well from the metrics that we analyze the economy from. Yeah, Trump is looking very good right now. I think the impeachment stuff probably galvanizes his base a little bit as well. It's going to be very hard to defeat Donald Trump. I don't think Democrats realize that.
How much do the debates like how much do you think that affects whether or not a guy makes it or not? Like, do you think that's the final stand? Like, if you crush the debates, are you winning?
Like,
no,
nothing.
No, really?
Hillary beat Trump.
Not even
in the
remotely.
debate probably every single time. It didn't matter.
Well, you say beat in a debate, but different people look for different things on the debate stage, right?
Right, but I'm talking about like from a charismatic perspective, like the person that's most charismatic. You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah, I
charisma's
think you want to feel like the
subjective,
guy on stage is like talking to you, and Trump did a really good job at like telling it like he is, you know?
Yeah.
When Trump is on stage and he's like talking, he's not making a really good coherent argument that everyone's like, that makes a lot of sense. I agree with that. People like him because of the way that he talks and the way that he argues. He's not making like really good points, and that's the reason that you're.
Well, you have to be careful because you're loading this with a lot of assumptions. Like when you say he's not making a lot of really good points, he is to people that are listening for a different type of thing.
Sure.
Like if you're planning for some like logically, deductively, internally consistent argument that is like sourced from facts and whatever, like that's not what Trump's going to do. But if you're looking for a guy to, if he talks and he sounds like he knows your struggle and he sounds like he's not afraid to stick it to the establishment, then he's making really fucking good points. Like that's all a lot of his supporters listen for.
I think one of the main reasons why Trump is so liked is because he talks in a very simple way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He never uses incredible vocabulary or anything.
He's rhetorically
yeah.
I was gonna say he's very effective. He's similar to Bernie. He has his few campaign slogans and then he hits on them over and over and over again, and they vibe with people super fucking hard, and people love that shit. Like nobody wants to hear a detailed policy analysis of foreign policy or some shit. People just want to hear the fucking build the wall, tax the 1%, whatever. Like people want to hear their slogans, and that makes people vibe super hard with your message.
And you literally have an example in real life that unfolded right in front of us of what Destiny's talking about with the comparison between Bernie's campaign and Warren's campaign. One of the biggest issues with Warren's campaign was that she went in depth, and tried to describe the actual policies and how she would lay them out. Whereas Bernie Sanders very often is rhetorically more advanced than Elizabeth Warren, and he'll just say, "No, we're just going to pay for it. We're going to find a way to pay for it." And it's going to work out. And it's much more simple. It's much more effective than actually getting into the weeds of policy and having people endlessly deliberate on whether or not these the taxing vehicle is going to work on Elizabeth Warren's plans. It was bad politics.
Yeah, look at any time in a debate when somebody tries to talk about numbers. I think Biden did it a couple times. He was like, well, actually, we're going to have a 20% tax on people earning more than 150,000. It's a nightmare. As soon as you've uttered two different numbers, people's minds are already lost. And it's what the fuck are you even talking about?
When it comes to things that pertain to the material, things that would genuinely change your life or impact your life in a meaningful fashion, like tax cuts or deregulations or additional regulations, or stopping endless wars, things like that. Both parties are pretty much aligned on the same political spectrum. Their goals are, their stated goals might be different, but the outcomes usually are very similar. Evidence of this is Barack Obama solidifying Bush-era tax cuts for the wealthy, for example, or even again Barack Obama seeking to cut Social Security benefits, entitlements with Joe Biden in 2012 after his reelection. These are supposed to be right-wing positions, but they're routinely pushed by liberal politicians as well. So what do you have as an average voter? The only thing you have left in your hand is to argue over meaningless cultural issues as Felix pointed out, do you drink gay soy or not? Or, do you love your cops? Do you love your troops? That sort of shit.
Yeah, there's an entire cop identity politics movement. It's fucking hilarious. It's there's a movement of cops who go on TikTok and their entire thing is that they're the most oppressed people in the world. Anything that you could say about the most hysterical, fucking blue-haired college student who's screaming at Ben Shapiro or whatever is also true about anytime you say anything about a cop online.
Yeah, cops are vets. Yeah, of course. I don't agree with selling the idea that the left and the right are politically the same. Meaningless cultural issues to you is gay marriage or abortion to some other people. That seems a little bit reductive to try to insinuate that from a policy point of view, Democrats and Republicans hold the same positions. I don't think that's true at all.
I don't think gay marriage is a meaningless cultural issue. What I'm referencing is Starbucks or wars or Christianity on the right, and on the left it would be things that are not genuinely advocated for. Gay marriage is actually a perfect example. Democrats not genuinely advocating for gay marriage until it's viable for all of them to do so is a good representation of this. They still turned around and talked about how Bernie Sanders was not intersectional enough in a shameless manner in 2016. Meanwhile, my man was advocating for LGBT rights in fucking 1986. You know what I mean? So
I mean, that's great that he was doing that, but him advocating for civil rights didn't do anything. It was Obama putting Supreme Court justices of the Supreme Court that actually got it changed. Like, it's nice to hold like the purity political positions, but at the end of the day, if you can't get any of that legislation passed or any of those people in office, it means fuck all. Like, there are plenty of people besides Bernie Sanders that advocated for gay rights, but it took a Democrat in office nominating a Supreme Court justice with a Senate of Democrats that was actually able to get some change, like actually push through for the gay people in the United States. Like, I'm sure gay people are really thrilled that Bernie was doing whatever the fuck in the 80s, but like in terms of actually getting gay marriage passed, that took like real political power to do so.
No, you're right. Activism is not as important as allowing gay marriage to finally pass through once it's politically viable. You're correct. It's actually better that way.
Yeah, I don't want to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say we should wait. People like immigrants, for example, that have their rights removed from them, like they should just wait. You know, their time will come eventually when the neoliberal establishment decides it's okay, it's politically viable for them to do so. What was it, Felix? Go ahead.
All right, yeah. I want to clarify before I say this. I'm not saying that Bernie Sanders is responsible for gay marriage, but things like, you know, the mayor of Burlington, other forces making this a cause is what makes an issue not radioactive to begin with. I mean, if you really want to draw this out, yeah, you could make the argument that Obama putting justices on the Supreme Court, blah blah blah, but Democrats were very clearly content to just let that issue die in the vine or be against it. Actually, sign a national law prohibiting gay marriage, as Bill Clinton did, unless people actually moved the window on it.
Yeah, of course. It's two sides of different coins. But like, do you want to be a politician or do you want to be an activist? Like, these are two fundamentally different positions. Like, we wouldn't expect everybody, in the Democratic Congress to become an activist and just cede all of their seats to Republican in every district. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, fundamentally, I think that as a politician, you can lead a little bit, but like you have to follow like the needle a bit as well. Like, you can't just do some radical shit as a politician. You'll just lose everything, and then at the end of the day, you get nothing done. Like, I think that it's okay to recognize the difference in these two jobs, and just because politicians don't want to be activists and sacrifice actual political power for their positions doesn't mean that they're the same as the Republicans, which is markedly not
true. The
true.
most popular politicians in the country right now are all politicians that you would consider to be activists. Maybe the time is right for them to be this way, or maybe people are very upset with politicians being politicians for far too long, so now they are looking for a change of pace for politicians to be genuinely activists. I don't know. That's just where I'm coming from with this. As a matter of fact, if you look at politicians who are straight politicians, at least with like Senate favorability ratings, Bernie Sanders tracks a little bit higher than all of those guys. So.
Well, but I mean, like, if we look at the lion's share of the votes right now in the Democratic primaries are going to moderates, right? Klobuchar.
Do you
Pete
genuinely think
Buttigieg.
that moderates is an actual ideological position? Like, do you think that there is a genuine moderate ideological position within the Democratic constituency? And if so, could you define that perhaps for me? Like, are they looking for tax credits only? Are they saying that we just want public health care? Because if you look at exit poll data from New Hampshire and also Iowa, you will very quickly realize that the Democratic voter base is fucking insane. I mean, they're insane. They vote like
wait, but
assholes.
that's not true. For the majority of people that didn't vote for Bernie, they said that one of the big things was that a lot of people felt that he was too far left for their positions.
That's
and
really interesting you say that, because 61% of people in New Hampshire literally said in the exit polls that they were interested in letting go of their private insurance for government insurance.
That's
So
great that
how
they
does
said
that
it, but
track?
New Hampshire was
I know,
also a
but how does
district that
track
Bernie won
How
by.
does that track with Bernie's vote percentage? Bernie got.
I mean, how does it
26%.
track that Bernie crushed Hillary Clinton when he did New Hampshire and he barely lost out to a moderate, Pete, splitting the vote between
Great
two
question.
other
You wanna
moderates?
answer? Do you want to answer for that?
Well, let me guess. It's the voter
Democratic
suppression of
Party
college
Hillary
students, right?
Clinton. Yeah, the Democratic Party fucking absolutely hates Hillary Clinton, which is why they voted against Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders was popular. Bernie Sanders' message resonated with a lot of people. But beyond that, the most important thing was people were voting absolutely out of spite because they fucking hated institutional corruption, which Hillary Clinton manifested as a person, like as an individual. This is
then why did she just sweep the primary process with Bernie?
Otherwise, why would so many people vote? Otherwise, why would so many people vote for the other person?
Wait, this doesn't track with any of the Democratic Party's voting during the primaries. Hillary crushed Bernie. What do you mean?
What are you talking about?
In 2016, Hillary Clinton absolutely crushed Bernie. Where do you get this idea that Democrats hated Hillary? Bernie was unpopular with minorities then. He's still pretty unpopular with the black vote now. Like, where's this idea that Democrats?
Are you mixing up your data or something? Did you just say Bernie Sanders was unpopular with the minorities then and is unpopular with minorities now?
I'm sorry, not minorities. I'd say African Americans because you guys like lump them all together. But yeah, with African Americans, yeah, of course. Bernie's always had popularity issues with the African American crowd, which he still has problems today.
African Americans are conservative voters naturally. They oftentimes go for the electability argument that is pushed by mainstream media outlets. It's, of course, someone like Hillary Clinton, who wasn't necessarily super well liked on the ground, with the exception of the southern states with reliable black constituencies, was not necessarily going to poll super well, or was liked within the Democratic Party, but was voted for by African American constituencies.
Okay, so everybody that likes your candidate is a well-informed voter, but everybody that didn't like your candidate was brainwashed by the media. Okay, wait, where's this idea that blacks were just susceptible to media advertising, and that's why they didn't come out in droves and support Bernie Sanders?
I did not say that. I said black boomers specifically are the most reliable voting bloc in the Democratic Party, specifically black women, older, and they are conservative voters. They vote for electability. That's the most important metric for them. This is evidenced by the fact that they didn't even want to vote for Barack Obama before the Iowa victory. As a matter of fact, there were black caucus members who had endorsed Hillary Clinton. They didn't want to vote for Kamala Harris or Cory Booker either. This is because they go for whoever the media is portraying as the most electable. Then beyond that, there is also the institutional control that the Democratic Party has in southern states. I mean, it's a political machine out there where whatever candidate they put forward is probably going to be the number one candidate. It's very hard to break. That's why it's called the firewall. And millions of dollars of ad spend has barely allowed Tom Steyer to make a dent in that firewall in South Carolina, even after Joe Biden's support has fucking hemorrhaged on the national scale because of his disastrous performance in the first two states.
I don't know what that has to do with Bernie not being popular with African Americans, but okay.
If you are not getting positive media coverage at all, and Felix can get in on this as well, but if you're not getting positive media coverage at all, and you are relatively lesser known in 2016 as Bernie Sanders was, he had no name recognition whatsoever and very little media coverage, and the entirety of the media is using you as a spoiler, using superdelegates as a metric for Hillary Clinton's already perceived victory before the race even began, then yeah, of course, they were going to go for the electability candidate, which they thought Hillary Clinton was, just like they think Joe Biden was. Go on, Felix.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just going to say to 2016, a big issue that Bernie had was that he wasn't really in it to win it until it was too late. And by too late, I mean after Iowa. He did not have the infrastructure to compete in the South. He did not, like what he has now, the army he has now, was not built then. But to go back a little bit to New Hampshire, I mean, there is some sort of brain damage that goes on to the Democratic Party when there is an incumbent Republican they're running against, where they become too clever by half. A lot of Democrats in the primary process will think themselves to death over who their fellow Americans would elect in a general election. With Pete, you saw that a shit ton of his support, I forget the exact number, but a huge portion were just people who came up with that when they went to the voting booth. I think that's probably the biggest obstacle for Bernie in the primary more than anything. He's far better with black voters, and minority voters in general than he was in 2016, and has a way better infrastructure for all of this. He's actually 100% has been trying to win since the beginning, not sort of wandering out there after announcing on his lunch break in 2015.
The infrastructure is definitely better, but like the inroads to the black community don't seem to have been made yet. Like it's still support that he's waffling really hard on, and Democrats haven't been able to win without that vote since like the 80s. Like I think he's.
Are you saying that he's waffling on support for the black community, or are you saying that it's the black community support for him as well?
It doesn't seem to be coming together.
The black support, it doesn't seem to be supporting him as much. That like I think he's still around it's anywhere from 12 to 17% based on what I've seen recently, but it's still trailing like really hard. I think he's even behind Warren. I think with African Americans, and then really far behind Biden.
I mean, look, as someone who like looks at this from kind of afar, is not political journalist or whatever, it kind of really still seems like Bernie is having trouble really connecting with a larger portion of black voters. And it feels like you can't ignore that is real. He might have a lot of young black support, and he's really getting people like under 29 and under 35, but he is having trouble connecting with that community.
It would be so fucking funny if Biden actually did win South Carolina by like fucking Saddam numbers and then just drop dead and just dies of old age. It would be the funniest fucking outcome, because that's all he's been telling the donors. Like he had a big fundraiser tonight in Manhattan with like, Joe Biden's favorite thing to do. A room full of like 200 guys who all have $500 million who respect him for some weird reason. And he does it. And then it's just, all right, it's done. My brain exploded.
Isn't Bernie fairly unhealthy as well?
No.
It was just a heart attack. It was just a heart attack.
I agree.
Strong baboon heart now.
He cut his schedule like in half after the fucking heart attack too. I mean, like, to be fair, like literally anybody, anybody can drop dead. These guys are all like 85 years old. Like we can't really make health jokes at anybody.
He has campaigned more than every single.
I know he campaigned more, but he
literally incorrect. Even after his
campaigned more than other people, but he had to cut that shit back hardcore after the heart attack, probably because his doctor said he was going to drop fucking dead on the campaign trail if he kept it up as hard as he was. He did cut back his schedule. Maybe it wasn't by half. That was slightly hyperbolic. I'm sorry.
He started surging after his heart attack. So obviously, most people
literally.
Do you think he had the heart attack on purpose?
Yes. S-Fan is correct. S-Fan is totally correct.
Wait, also, Bernie hasn't surged anywhere. Bernie had a decent performance in Iowa and New Hampshire, but like on the national polling, he hasn't like surged anywhere.
What are you talking about? He's actually leading in the national polls. I think I would consider that to be.
So the highest Bernie has ever polled nationally is 24 points. He's at 23.6 now. The only reason why he's ahead is because Biden literally suicide dived.
24 points before Joe Biden actually entered the race. You're talking about the first day he announced his candidacy. That's a really dishonest way of framing this argument, and I think you know that better. You know better, Destiny.
No, I'm talking about the end of April after Biden was already in for.
No, Biden was. When Bernie Sanders was at peak, Biden was not in the race yet. He was polling higher than Bernie Sanders because people were speculating that he was going to run. But that's not true. It doesn't matter though. He is now in.
Even if we say that regardless, so even when Biden wasn't in, Bernie was still polling like higher than he slightly is now. Like there is no Bernie surge. Like it's not there. He doesn't even have a quarter of the support of the Democratic Party yet.
What is a surge only when you see an uptick after you've always been the underdog? Is that what you're categorizing as a surge? Because I would consider post heart attack his numbers rising significantly and never really taking a massive nosedive to be a pretty consistent growth on his behalf. Not dissimilar to Donald Trump, as a matter of fact.
Over the past month, Bernie's numbers went up like 4%. Biden dropped by like 10. I mean, Bernie has gotten the lead, but it's off of like Biden's suicide dive after his abysmal performance in Iowa and New Hampshire.
Maybe because better analysts than you were consistently talking about how Biden had soft support, and they weren't only looking at the data that they're seeing from 538 and regurgitating MSNBC talking points. So they understood that Joe Biden wasn't necessarily going to outperform in Iowa and outperform in New Hampshire, and was actually going to take a massive hit once it wasn't in the hands of the media and CNN, who kept saying Joe Biden is really good. No, Joe Biden had a great night tonight, and it was actually going to be up to the voters to consider whether Joe Biden was going to.
So
have a good
Bernie
night.
won in Iowa and New Hampshire because he has an amazing ground game there. That's one of the reasons why Pete also like had a standout performance and won the most state delegate equivalents in Iowa. Like I don't know what the random like dig on aggregate polling is. Maybe because you like to look at single polls when Bernie is polling well with like Hispanics under age like 22
No, I don't
or
really
whatever.
like.
But
No, I don't really like polling across the board because even pollsters will tell you that they don't have the fucking answers. And that
no, a poll is just a snapshot of what people believe in some particular point of time.
I find it to be much more productive to be honest about what your policy opinions are and what you think is a good policy, and advocate for that, and advocate for the candidate that is going to genuinely fight for those policies.
Wait, I would agree with that, but you literally went from like I would support anybody and I'm a liberal to I'm an anti-liberal in like 6 months. What do you mean? Why would you be the person to make that argument when you've gone like full like anti-liberal in the past 6 months? What? You're like one of the least honest people about like you're like a full-on Bernie or Buster now, like unabashedly so. After arguing for so long that you would support anyone in the general blah blah blah, you're like the full-on fucking Bernie or Buster now. Or maybe your opinions just changed over the past like 5 months or whatever. I don't know.
Wait, I'm confused. Why are we changing the conversation?
We're not changing the conversation. You brought the conversation. Yeah, sure. So let me.
Over-reliance on electability arguments is what political hacks do. Is what
so that electability argument that earlier you were crying about black voters caring about because that determines who they support. So apparently some people care about electability. And considering the Democrats haven't won without black support since the 1980s, it seems like a pretty important argument. Firstly, you literally just said that Sanders is only picking up support now because electability has been seen as a more important part of his
fallacy. You're saying that the electability argument is important because people care about it, which is literally the same as me saying the electability argument is dog shit. The only reason why the electability argument is presented is because you say a candidate is good because he's electable. And why is he electable? Because we said the candidate was good. It is an Ouroboros. It is a fucking, it is a circle. It's a circular logic, basically. That is precisely why it is weaponized by the media when they don't have anything else to fucking talk about. They just say this person is more electable than the other person. And then his polling position is higher. And then, oh, of course, he's high. He's polling better than everyone else. So he's the most electable. It is literally an argument that you have crafted. Not you personally. It is an argument that the media crafts specifically so they can choose a potential candidate over another that they like.
So okay. So walk me through the full write up here. So the media in some shady back room handpicks a candidate, and then they invent these arguments about like electability, even though nobody actually cares about them. And then that's where we get like the electability arguments.
No,
from.
I'm not saying nobody cares about electability. Most people are apolitical, just like most of the panelists on here who are looking at us like,
what does apolitical mean?
Talking about apolitical is out of touch with what's going on in politics because they don't think it actually concerns them. In some instances, it literally doesn't concern them. What happens?
I thought apolitical was
relatively
like,
affluent. What?
I thought apolitical was like when you get political through budding.
What?
Yeah, like through budding, like you just like spawn off like different parties. Kind of like asexual.
No.
Well, is apoliticals like just indifference? Yeah.
You know,
yes,
I agree.
political indifference.
I think it means like not like political.
Oftentimes, from a point of privilege, most people are like, yeah, I don't really care about what goes on. There's a number of different factors why people feel totally checked out of American politics. Somewhat understandable that a lot of people feel like their voices aren't ever going to get heard, or they're not going to make a significant difference. They don't, they don't join the political conversation. Fair, understandable. But having said that, electability is one way that you can make an argument for a particular politician without really saying much about them outside of, well, they're the most electable.
Can I ask a question? Are more people voting or less people voting as the years go on?
More
percentage wise, more, yeah, but like not just.
It depends. It depends. Sometimes the uptick in voting is pretty proportional with population growth. Other times it outstrips it. Depends on a million different.
Like
things.
I think turnout was really up for the Obama years. It was pretty down for Hillary Clinton. Oh, and then real quick, I'm curious.
That was bad timing.
For Hasan and Felix. So which establishment candidate is being pushed right now? Is it Pete? Is it Amy? Is it Biden? Is it which one is it?
Thank you, boys.
Why could they not be pushing 3
all of
establishment candidates, depending on the story, depending on the issue. I mean, you literally,
they're pushing every single establishment candidate. That's the
Felix. That's not an honest question. He already did the lumping in of the moderates literally before we had this conversation. He was like, "Well, Bernie is doing worse than Bernie. Only has 26
of moderate votes."
Yeah,
I mean, I figured if we're calling Pete a fascist, I guess the labels don't really mean much at this point. But I'm just
fascist, brother. Or
well,
maybe
Felix did earlier, actually.
No, I didn't. I would no.
You described Pete as a fascist to explain the.
Listen, no, I didn't.
Okay, then that was I'm 99% sure you did, but maybe it was a misunderstanding on my part.
Okay,
Felix, get ready. They're gonna clip it and send his audience. Gonna clip it, send it back to you. We're gonna rewatch it. We're gonna strip it of all context whatsoever, and the only context associated with it for the rest of time. And Reddit post is going to be whatever Destiny wants. This is how Destiny debates. Get ready for it. You probably weren't aware of this. I'm just letting you know that's what's going to happen. They will endlessly cry and cynically weaponize SJW nonsense in their subreddit while also simultaneously, arguing about how important it is to say the N-word or whatever the fuck gamers are talking about.
Well, Hasan literally defends Pete being called an F-word on fucking stream. That's rich as fuck, dude. Come on.
I said a trans person. So a trans person making that joke is the literal is the exact same thing as like a black person making a joke about a white person calling a black person the N-word, and you and your cadre of homies in your DGG chat would never in a million years make that same exact fucking argument if it wasn't for your weird personal agenda against the left. That's just facts. I'm sorry.
Wait, so you're telling me it's okay? It's okay as long as the person making the homophobic joke is that because they're lower on the Oppression Olympics ladder, or how do you who gets
okay,
what if you're, wait, what if you're black and gay and the other person is trans, white, and rich,
and also act like you care about intersectionality at the same time?
I agree. Right? You're right. You blew me out on this one. So I just want to know where the ladder is. So let's say you have somebody that's white and trans, and then somebody else that's gay but half black. Is the white trans person allowed to use racist or homophobic thing, or only homophobic things against the black gay? Because where I come from, like generally, you don't publicly call someone an F word. Now that's just kind of where I'm at right now in my politics. But maybe you feel differently,
Or wait, did you learn that lesson after you sent burning crosses to black people on Twitter and got banned for it, or before that?
Wait. You want to talk about context? This is when I was arguing with a person that the black experience in the United States is oftentimes
context
not
does
lit.
matter. Well, there you go.
Wait, context matters is my argument. Wait, that was my argument the whole time. Remember when you were crying to Trihex, telling him like, oh yeah, in certain contexts, I think that racist jokes can be okay. But then when you were talking to me, you're like, it's never okay to make those jokes. By the way, go watch Come Town. Wink, wink, wink.
Are we gonna see the F word manifesto in the future? Maybe.
No, I'm not the one defending the use of these slurs publicly because somebody's lower on the Oppression Olympics ladder than you. What the fuck?
You want to move on to a more productive conversation?
Wait, we can. I just want the answer to that one question. I'm curious. Like, if you have a white wealthy trans person, could they use a homophobic slur against a black?
That wasn't the case, was it? Because it wasn't a wealthy white trans person. It was a literal trans leftist activist on Twitter making a joke about Bernie Sanders calling the F-word.
Are you actually?
You just want to get butthurt over it because.
Wait, are you incapable of engaging in a hypothetical argument? Can you not do a hypothetical?
Oh no, I can engage in hypothetical arguments. But
okay, so then if a person
what you're doing is building a straw man because you don't want to argue on the facts of the actual argument that we're having.
We're not talking about the actual one. That's why it's called a hypothetical.
A poor leftist random trans person on Twitter making.
This is why it's called a hypothetical.
You are now changing it to like Caitlyn Jenner made a joke.
Well, could Caitlyn Jenner make a homophobic joke? Do you think is that okay?
No,
that's why it's called a hypothetical, Hasan, because it's not something that actually happened. That's the point of calling it a hypothetical. You know that, right?
But why talk about hypotheticals when we actually have the real life example?
Because you're out here defending homophobic slurs against a guy. Because you're out here defending homophobic slurs, and I'm just curious where the line is. What do you have to do in order to be able to call Pete Buttigieg an F word and it'd be funny to you? I'm just curious.
Do you want to move on?
We don't have an answer.
Conversation.
We should move on because it seems like you literally can't answer this question.
You want to cry? You want to keep crying cynically about social justice that you care?
I'm not crying at all. You're the one that can't answer the question. You literally can't even fathom answering the question because you realize how ridiculous it is. You're on the Oppression Olympics ladder system for who's allowed to make a homophobic joke to which person.
How do you try to live in the world where you literally simultaneously make fun of intersectionality by bastardizing it and calling it Oppression Olympics, but then also trying in the minds of your followers to seem like you genuinely care about social justice.
I care about intersectionality, which is why I don't use intersectionality like you are to justify making homophobic remarks towards people.
I think you can be intersectional. You can be for intersectionality on the one hand, and also not cry about every single random instance of like some random person on Twitter making a joke that you found to be tasteless. I think that is an unproductive conversation, and that I personally think that you are hypocritical in this instance, but I don't even want to get into it further. If you don't, because I think it's an unproductive and unhelpful conversation.
We're only talking about it because you felt the need to defend it on stream. So it seems like you thought it was pretty important or pretty worth talking about, or maybe you just wanted to randomly defend.
You know what? Let's move on. You're right. You won. You're right.
Thank you. I'm glad. Come over here. Not making homophobic slurs towards other candidates and shit. That's great. It's a great world over here. We don't make homophobic jokes publicly towards. Do you want to do it privately? That's a private joke, Hasan. Welcome to my point of view. It's actually pretty good over here.
Dude, you two, dude, Manuel, I'm gonna get your point on this, dude. What I just saw there, like, people can perceive this as hate. You guys both have a denial of love for each. Dude, you guys just need to fuck. That was some sexy tension.
Good job.
Train,
Nice one, Train. There you go.
You could not be further removed from reality in this circumstance, especially. If there's one thing I genuinely despise, and this is like
it's liberals.
Something I genuinely despise. It's people that, and this isn't Destiny, or this you didn't used to be Destiny. People who fucking act like they genuinely care about a cause and morally grandstand.
You think
this is the guy who earlier said that every
person.
different position that a Democrat has on a Republican was over worthless cultural issues. By the way, this is the guy that cares about dumb shit like fucking kids locked in fucking chambers in the fucking border, or things like DACA, or things like the Supreme Court.
Destiny,
but I'm the one that just pretends.
I was working with activists and advocating for Black Lives Matter and numerous other progressive causes while you were saying the N-word playing StarCraft, you libertarian dipshit.
When you were working with Black Lives, what does this have to do with anything that we're talking about? I don't have a family that does politics, so yeah, I don't have those connections early on like you did, of course. There's a reason why you're not working with that family now, and you're working on the platform that I built up for politics. So I mean,
I'm so glad you built up the platform so I could lap you on it. Okay?
I know, that's great. Yeah, you're slapping me real hard right now while talking about all the work that Cenk got you early on in your political career. I mean, was that supposed to be a big burn to me? What the fuck?
Write your title like Hasan. We're going to talk about Hasan's homophobia today. It must be really pathetic and really sad that you have to sit there and be like, you know what? This guy who I gave a boost to originally, and you did, and I always hyped you up for it, for you to just turn around and be like, you know what? I'm going to try to manufacture some drama. I'm here for Felix. He's a good friend of mine. I love him.
What drama am I manufacturing? I was just curious why you were defending the use of homophobic slurs.
I wanted to be on. I wanted to hear.
It was a simple question.
And you are, of course, trying to take over the conversation and dominate it, and maybe get some LSF clips there. Maybe bring up the relevance a little bit.
I'm sure that Felix would love to hop on your stream and chat with you sometime. Like
going forward, I'm exiting out of that conversation. We can move on to more interesting things. I know that people love drama, and this is the only way that they can keep up with politics. But let's move on to something more productive.
All right. Do you guys want to tune into my stream? I just play League of Legends. That's all I do right now. So,
So what are you guys voting for?
Honest to God, I'm looking for Al Gore to come back. I think that guy could have a good run right now. Him or Romney. I'm looking for a real establishment, non-establishment candidate.
Ross Perot's my guy.
Amen, brother.
Hey, dude, Bill Clinton and Obama, dude. Top presidents in my lifetime, dude. Why does everyone hate them? Why does the left hate them? Why does the left hate Bill Clinton and Obama?
Bill Clinton?
Dude,
why does the left hate Bill Clinton?
I wonder why you love Bill Clinton.
Why does the left hate Obama? Obama was such a good president, dude.
Imperialism, Train.
Nobody cares about foreign policy. First of all, I'm pretty sure that Obama still has a overall favorable rating. First of all, why would you call me a white boy after complaining about imperialism when you couldn't even find fucking Pakistan on a map, which is like fucking 3 countries away from your fucking homeland, okay? Firstly, that was the weirdest insult of the world you could love at me.
I still have a better understanding of what happens over there than you do, I guess.
Sure. If you don't even know where the fucking countries are, I don't even know how that's possible. Maybe that's true. Okay, firstly. Secondly,
when you're from that side of the world, I guess.
Secondly, just when the fuck do Americans care about foreign policy? It's never been, like, we can go and look at any fucking Gallup polling, any whatever.
Didn't say, why do Americans hate Obama? He said,
you said
why why does the left dislike Obama and Bill Clinton? So I was giving him an opinion on the left.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Wait,
we
what do you mean by the
hear
left?
Libertarian screeches more often. Go ahead. Explain to Train why the left hates Barack Obama.
Sure. So the main people that hate Barack Obama are the Bernie bros that just don't like the idea of going back to establishment politics. That's the main reason why they don't like him. It's because they think he represents like the establishment Democratic movement that a lot of the more like left-leaning progressives, especially younger college-educated voters, aren't into anymore. Because they're moving beyond that, going to the true left.
Years and years of anti-war efforts against Barack Obama, or efforts taken by immigration activists against Barack Obama's administration, which did some good things like the DACA program and a lot of bad things like deporting 3 million immigrants, is just Bernie Bros molding.
If that's the case, then so to my understanding, never mind.
Wait, Train.
It's complicated.
Train, if you were running for president, what would your campaign slogan be?
I had a really good joke there, but
no more political podcasts.
I can't make jokes. I can't make jokes, dude. Especially, we have 2 political boys on here. Hey, I gotta be careful here.
No, you can make jokes. I mean, depending on what kind of jokes you're making.
Well, actually, wait. You're a person of color. And you talk about sucking dicks a lot, so you might actually be able to make. I think that makes it okay to make homophobic
Destiny,
jokes.
considering you wrote a literal manifesto because a black friend of yours told you he was upset that you said you say the N-word literally
privately.
all the time.
Big difference between
is that why you're trying to work out the mental math all the time? A true gamer, folks. Of course.
What's the mental math that criticizes me on this position, but lets you constantly promote Cumtown? I'm super curious on that one too.
I don't know what Cumtown is. What's Cumtown?
What's that?
What is that?
What's Cumtown?
Wait, what's Cumtown?
Train, I've got it. Make men great again.
Wait, what is
I thought it
has
that one.
I thought it was just gonna be like simpler. Like,
Felix,
okay,
do you know
do
what
it.
Cumtown is?
Never heard of it.
Yep, me
So
either.
okay. What is the history with you two?
They used to be
The history with us is that me and
about
Hasan were
breakfast.
friends a long time ago. I still like Hasan. Hasan fucking hates me now.
Hey, dude. That is a total bullshit point that even people that you haven't banned in your subreddit fucking call you out for, okay? You don't fucking like Hasan still. You just say that.
What? I literally invited you to the fucking streamer house shit I'm doing. What are you talking about? Of course. I don't do like, I don't get super
make money. That's why you invited me to your fucking streamer house, not because you want to like hang out with me and enjoy my company. And it doesn't even matter. It's not reciprocal regardless.
Yeah, that's fine. If you hate me,
Destiny,
that's cool. Don't put me in the same fucking boat. I don't take this shit. Listen, I've been
Destiny
friends with
helped me
Richard
a lot.
Lewis. I'm cool with him.
Destiny helped me a lot.
Train, I'm cool with Train right now. Like, what do you mean,
Okay,
dude?
Destiny helped me a lot initially in bringing me into Twitch when I first got on Twitch. I linked up with Destiny. His community was very welcoming, as they usually are with people that Destiny is fond to or has a fondness towards. And
except for me. Except for me.
And then we have we had a falling out over over a Kamala Harris.
So
piece.
Hasan likes to make YouTube videos where he covers candidates, where what he does is he finds a Twitter thread that's one of those epic debunking write-ups on the candidate. He basically read the Twitter thread down for video. I did some more research on the positions, and we tried to have a discussion about it, and Hasan lost his fucking mind because he couldn't defend
I
a
lost my
single
mind
fucking
because he
point.
tried to defend Kamala Harris's truancy policies by saying the ends justify the means.
I never said that actually at all. I was just trying to get you to honestly
position on Kamala Harris's truancy policies. It is well documented, but it doesn't matter. The thing I is
how can you mischaracterize so many positions?
Is this debate lord mentality on the fucking internet? We have it on the left. We have it on the liberal side.
Don't you hate when you have to defend
it definitely
your
exists
point?
on the
God,
right
it's
as well.
horrible.
And it
I just want to
appeals
preach
to a very
crowd,
specific
man.
kind of. Can I finish, dude? And then you can say it. It appeals to a very specific kind of person. I think personally, it manifests it cultivates a really toxic mentality where like you literally cannot have a conversation with another person who has even remotely a different position than you do. And it's very frustrating. It's not the way I am. And I'm also not very good at debating either. And I admit this all the fucking time. It's not like something I hide. And I'm sure people can see it if they see me debate anyone. So I personally try to stay away from it. And I feel like Destiny is very good at debating. He's very skilled rhetorically. It's just frustrating to constantly butt heads with someone and then have his community come into mind, a much larger community come into mind and clip shit and try to continue that toxicity. That's what it is. That's the history from my end.
That's one telling of it, sure.
Yeah, from my end, that's my totally biased position on it. I admit.
Destiny, would you actually say you still like him? Because I think that just people say that.
For me,
They're trying to be magnanimous.
I am very much
fake.
into the political philosophy stuff online. It's a very big thing I do. I love arguing with people. It's like really fun for me. But at the end of the day, I don't take any of this shit personally. Like I'm friends with a lot of people that I have huge political disagreements with. Like generally what happens, the normal course of things is that I call out somebody on a position that I think is kind of bad. Like me and Train have gone through this a few times. I've gone through this with almost every friend I have. And then as a result of said calling out, they lose their fucking mind and then they don't want to be friends anymore because they think that I'm not like cutting them enough slack or some shit. But like I'm friends with Richard Lewis, who was a guy that I like worked for Breitbart for a bit that I have severe political disagreements with. Like I'm friends with Train, who holy shit on social positions. I don't think we could be more different. I don't usually take any of this shit personally at the end of the day.
Well, no, I don't mean that's not really what I care about. If you like him in spite of his politics, I mean, like, do you harbor like any bitterness towards him? I don't know. I'm interested in the interpersonal story here.
I mean, I don't like the way he does his political stuff, obviously. Which I mean, you can argue that's personal.
But like interpersonal between you and him. Like, do you?
No, I don't think he's like ever like fucked me over or done anything horrible like that. It's just generally it's political disagreements.
Where's the streamer house?
Do you,
Beverly Hills.
would you say you make fun of people who lost their jobs from their family's company when you like them, or is that something that you reserve for people you don't like? Because I'm at least open about the fact that I don't like you. Like I don't.
Well, if we're doing insults, if you're gonna like dig out on me, of course I'm gonna hit back. Like if you're gonna try to like make fun of the fact that I was a Twitch streamer.
Honest about not liking you. I think that you.
Just because I like somebody doesn't mean I'm not gonna roast
bridges for personal gain and have a complete.
I don't know. I've never burned bridges for personal gain.
And that most of your.
You're just gonna do the thing where you talk and you do like 50 bullshit.
Most of your relationships,
this is like your Kamala Harris video, actually. I see. It's not like
Thank you.
But yeah, it's the easy way for you to be like, oh, I'm the victim here. Like, I still like Hasan. He just doesn't like me. Also, he fucking sucks. And I'm gonna do comprehensive coverage of his of everything he talks about.
I cover you now because you're maybe the biggest political person on Twitch. Of course, I'm gonna cover you. Is that surprising to you? Like,
well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I mean, like, you must know, like,
play a part in that. Thank you for that, by the way.
Are you mad or are you? I can't really tell. Like,
no,
you understand? Okay, wait. You pivot so hard. You're like Mike from PA right now. Okay, wait. So like, yeah, I cover what your takes a lot, of course, because you stream them to like 5,000 or 10,000 people sometimes. Is that surprising to you? No? Okay, so then I don't know why you use that. Also, the reason why I made fun of you for being hired as from your dad or whatever is because I have no background in
dad
any of
or
this.
whatever,
or your uncle or whatever. I don't fucking know the extent of your lineage in terms of how you got your job. But if you're going to take a dig at my job that I had to build from literally nothing because I was a fucking carpet cleaner before getting into this, then yeah, you better believe I'm going to make a nepotism joke at you. You can't expect to be offended by that. Come on, you got to have thicker skin than that, buddy.
Oh no, I'm not offended by the nepotism thing. I'm just offended by the fact that you think people are fucking so dumb that they would believe you when you say, no, I still like Hasan, when it's not just you covering my political takes. And it is obvious that you have a personal vendetta, not just against me, but against the left that you once claimed you were a part of, or maybe even still do.
It's really interesting because this is the same thing you guys do with Bernie. Anytime somebody says anything negative, it can never be on substance. It always has to be a personal vendetta. It's crazy that you have like that defense for every single position you have, but then at the same time,
we make no substantive argument.
I don't really think a presidential campaign and the media's treatment of it is like comparable to this. You could think.
Well, no, in terms of like what we do in our world, like me and Hasan are the two largest political people.
What are you, the Elizabeth Warren of Twitch? I don't know what you're saying.
Well, no. Like me and Hasan. So on this, I don't know how much you know about Twitch. I'm not trying to talk down to you, but like on Twitch, me and Hasan are the two largest political people by far. So if either of us says something like political, I would imagine we're probably going to cover it. Hasan did for a long time. I don't think he talks as much about my takes now, but then I talk about his takes, of course. But that's only natural, right?
I don't talk about your takes because I think that it creates unnecessary toxicity, which I probably brought upon myself by joining this podcast for the next.
I mean, you
weeks.
literally have made like N-word Andy jokes takes, I think as of yesterday. I think I saw a clip where you did it. So you can't pretend like you're totally divorced from the issues. And if anything, that sounds a lot more like a personal vendetta than me attacking you, because I usually do it over the context of what you're doing, like defending homophobic slurs against presidential like candidates.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for fighting against homophobia on Twitch, sir.
Thanks.
You guys really have a hell of a thing here because you talk for fucking.
We need to really move away from it.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it.
No,
I think they need to fight.
I'm not talking about you two. I'm not talking about you two.
Cage match.
Oh God, Christ in heaven. So you guys talk for like 9-10 hours at a time. Like that's like average end, right?
Yeah,
You're talking
we're
for
6 to 10
9
hours, but sure.
Right. So you talk for that long, obviously unedited. You're just rolling. You're just trying to vibe.
Yeah.
You can really anything can slip out while you're trying to edit.
Dude, thank you.
Within
Thank you.
reason.
Yes.
And
Thank
it's
you.
like oh my god, it would drive me fucking insane.
Yeah. Dude, you have no idea.
I don't even I will commit to something with a friend. I won't even fucking remember saying it. How many things do you guys have to fucking answer for that you don't remember saying?
Dude, listen.
What a fucking life.
It's even worse than that, dude. It's even worse than that, dude. It is, dude.
Now
100%.
imagine having a dedicated community of people who like clip literally everything you say most of the time out of context and endlessly cover it in perpetuity. It's not nice. And that is literally what I mean when I say like I hate the fucking toxicity shit with like debate lord communities and debate lords in general on the internet. I think Train shares this opinion that I have as well.
Just for when we move on from this topic,
Yeah.
I want it to be said that like all of my sneaky debate tactics here were literally just asking for clarification on a couple questions. Just let the record reflect that, and then I'm good to move on.
Utilize sneaky debate tactics. But
Maybe not this time, but
Yeah,
feel fine. You're perpetually the victim once again. Can we move on to something more productive?
he literally said earlier, "Well, I know that he's a skilled
I know it's
rhetorical
good. I
debater.
know
Like
it's
none of
good
my points have
content. I know
merit.
it's
I'm just a
good
good
content.
debater." While you talk over me for like 10 minutes.
Oh, I know it's good content, guys, but like, come on, let's move
Yeah.
on
literally
to
came
something
on
that
here. What
we
did
can
you
bring on other
wait,
people too.
Why are you victimizing yourself when you jumped on here, seeing a Chapo dude here and me here? What did you expect to happen?
Well,
I
he
saw my
literally,
friend
he
Felix
literally,
on the
he literally
platform,
did.
and I
He literally
wanted-
did. Yeah, text me because he like wanted to hang out. He didn't know it was going on.
Oh, you guys, it's impossible for you to go on his stream. Do you have like an anti like Twitch personal streamer platform?
Okay, can we again?
I've
Can
been
we
on his stream. I've been in his
stuff,
stream a
or
lot of times. He just happens to be on the West Coast and me on the East Coast. Time doesn't always sync up.
Can we?
yeah, but
Can we move on to some other stuff?
let's-
yeah, feel it.
No, I don't want to offend anyone, like on here or in chat, obviously. But like, if you're not Jewish or Muslim and your parents circumcised you,
Yeah, that
what's,
sucks.
what's going on, man? What's going on? Like, we
didn't-
have a fucking reason. Your parents are just like, I don't know. I just think it will look better on you. It's fucking.
I think the U.S. is like the only country in the Western world that I think like massively circumcised the fuck out of kids, especially like if you're
Yeah, no,
religious, even if you're
no,
Christian.
You're
you know?
right. You're right. Brits and other Europeans are famous for just having the windsock on.
Dude,
Oh, my God.
Imagine being being an American and just being cucked that way. Like you're not even
Yeah.
you're not even Muslim or Jewish, and you just have a cut dick. That sucks, dude.
I
It
am
looks
surpri-
better.
I am
It looks better.
surprised. But
It
that's
looks better.
it. That's it, though.
That's
Like,
not
I'm
true.
No, but there is a comfortability factor.
better.
Like I've never had to worry, right? Like chafing and stuff like that. Like I'm in Manuel's gang. I'm in Uncut gang.
Fucking lucky boys.
I think about it.
hold on.
Bro,
We're looking
and-
at this from one perspective. Let me drop it on there. Okay, fine. We get chafing, you get dick cheese. We get fucking
You just gotta shower. You just gotta
yeah.
shower.
you
we-
can literally clean your dick cheese.
We don't take. I don't
Bro,
take.
come
I don't
on,
get
you-
paid
You
for
sell the
dick
dick cheese on the side. You sell the dick cheese on the side. You,
Yeah.
Gamer dick cheese.
Well, not only that,
I don't
not
know, is
only
that
that,
a
but
thing?
also like,
I'm French. What's wrong with cheese?
dude. Okay. Do you want to know the most OP thing though about
Yeah.
sheathed dicks? You can just jerk off without like any lubricant whatsoever.
Yes!
there's
Yes!
so many
Yeah.
benefits. There's so many.
Yeah.
benefits.
I
You have a
spent
fucking
thousands
thing
in my
that you can
life on this
use.
shit.
And it's nuts. It's not we the cut. We have to go through a process. Like I have fucking calluses, dude. Look at this shit.
Game of
No,
Thrones.
same.
It's also
I
better
can't
for
put
anal.
fucking on
It's
my
better
dick,
for
dude.
anal sex too. It feels better for women with anal sex too.
Yeah, because you're not actually fucking the anal cavity. You're fucking your own skin. That's why.
Less friction. Yeah.
What
If
do
you
you
want to
mean?
know, if you want to know the real ultra nuclear take, here's
Less
something that'll
friction.
here's something that'll super fuck your mind. Ask a girl outside of porn. There's a lot of girls that unironically don't know the difference between cut and uncut dicks. Like especially if it's erect already. There's a lot of girls that are like, oh, I don't know if my boyfriend is circumcised or not. Or like you can find stories of guys telling their girlfriend, and then the girl will be like, wait, you're not circumcised, you're uncircumcised. They have like a lot of them have no
Yeah, they
fucking
don't know.
idea. Like yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm uncircumcised, but also I have what's called a phimosis. I don't know if you guys know what a phimosis is. Is when your skin is actually not large enough when you're in erection to pull the skin all the way.
No, Manuel. What you say is your dick is too big for your foreskin, not your foreskin is too small for your dick. Important clarification.
Sure.
He really is a rhetorician.
But
Oh my God.
This is gonna sound like a dumb question, but can you
Can
Yeah,
you put the
reverse it,
skin back on?
Yeah. Is that a thing?
I don't think so.
I wouldn't have.
Yeah, well, no,
That
it's
sounds
actually
like
a new
super
surgery.
difficult.
No, this is real. You can do this now. It's like it's almost like a bionic arm. You can get a bionic foreskin.
Dude, wait, are you being real?
No,
There are
yeah,
some
it's like,
people-
you
there are
know,
some
like
people that will
Jax in Mortal
stretch.
Kombat. It's like you have Jax, except Jax is.
It's a skin graft.
You know.
Yeah, it's a
Some
skin
people,
graft.
some people will also stretch their skin if you like tie like weights inside of it. So I don't know how this is possible. Supposedly, if you tug on it enough, you can like regrow your foreskin somehow.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard
Yeah,
of that. I don't know how much there is to it.
Ugh.
I saw that in a movie once. It was like a World War II movie. It was like there was a Jewish community, and a lot of the boys would try to reverse it by this like painful method of like using pliers and stuff like that. And
Yeah, apologies if someone already brought this up, but during the Hellenistic period of Judaism, when Jews were under the captivity of the Greeks, a lot of people, a lot of Jews had to undergo the process of Hellenization, which meant, they had to put a foreskin back on by taking some skin from their shaft. And imagine fucking doing that.
right, because they would share the baths, right?
I mean, when they would go to the gymnasiums, you could find the Jew by, looking at our perfectly chiseled heads of our cocks. But, they were getting that dick surgery in ancient Greece.
How do you know this?
Oh my God.
What kind of books do you read?
I took a lot of theology classes. This was a big thing. This is a big deal.
How is this fake pixelated thing getting more views than?
It's the
Is she
first
hot?
of its.
Is she
It's
hot?
curiosity.
It's the first of its
more
kind.
curious.
It's a very like major project. There's like 6 or 7 people behind it, plus the girl that's doing it, and it's like become a meme. And I think that the rage from the cam girls is like also feeling like more people to watch it now.
Well, here's the thing. I like it's not. Is it pulling people who are already on the website to watch it instead of? I feel like people from outside the website are coming to watch it, right?
Both, I think. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I watched it for a while just to figure out what was going on. And
Dude, you know, dude, I looked at it.
Evan was doing market research, dude.
I was
Dude,
doing analytics, dude. I'm like, hey, you get 30,000 viewers. I don't care what you're streaming. I'll be there.
I looked at it at one point. I looked at I saw a screenshot of it at one point, and the top dono was our friend Vickers. Was the top dono?
What?
Oh,
Yeah,
what?
Vickers was the top dono. I was like, "Are you serious, dude?"
It's
And
a
he was
small
like, "Hey,"
world.
no, I asked him, dude. The best part, I call him out on it. I'm like, "Dude, what is this?" And he's like, "Hey, I gotta support my girls." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." So
It's I don't know. I think I wondered what Manuel's take was on this. I mean, like,
I think people
with the
are
girls
just
getting angry.
curious and they go check it out. I also feel like maybe because it's not a real person, they feel less hustled by a girl trying to get them to get more like coins or whatever they call on Shutterbait. And if it keeps going, it'll slow down. Like it won't attract as many people. I don't know. Like I don't get upset when people talk to me about hentai, which is the equivalent, right? It's like fake people, porn, fucking. It doesn't bother me. I don't know why those girls would get bothered like that. I feel like the only ones that get bothered by it, it's probably the same one that get bothered by the girls that are already very popular. It's like the low end that would get bothered by it, not the girls that are actually doing good.
Well, apparently it was like some pretty big ones. Like
Really?
And like the way that it is like justified is like, okay, like I've been on this platform for I don't know XYZ, and I have like 4,000 to 5,000 concurrent viewers or and whatever, and I've built my whole brand from the ground up, and like then this anime avatar that's not even like real comes in. It never ages. It never has to put on makeup. It's beautiful all the time, and it's basically just cutting us out of our jobs, and it's fake.
Devin, this sounds like all the men streamers on
Well,
Twitch.
so
are
actually,
complaining
it's
about all the
actually
women.
so it's a bit different in the camming world. So Manuel, I don't know if you know anything about this, but like my understanding is that like in my free cams and in other of these campsites, that like your position on the page is actually tied into the amount of money that you're bringing in per hour, and that if you're not bringing in enough, they actually delist you from those pages. So if you are like
that's 100% right.
Yeah, if you're camming and that's your job, and then all of a sudden you're getting bumped off like your front page stuff because of like animated girls, I could see why people would be irritated by that for sure.
What I don't understand is why there are still so many girls camming on those sites when you could be on the just chatting of Twitch.
Well, that's why you've seen, unironically, a lot of them move over, right?
Yeah, but don't you make a lot more money on My Free Cams and shit, like, or Only Cams or whatever the fuck those sites are?
You do, but the work on those campsites is so much more soul crushing and like so much more.
And again, I feel like it's only the top girls that really earn a lot.
It's the same on
versus
Twitch,
the
though.
rest, exactly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like it's the same thing anywhere. It's so,
But again,
so hard. Yeah.
Devin, you like we talked about this before. Like when you analyze that, like it's so true. Like a lot of the girls, they come to Twitch thinking, "Hey, I'm gonna have less competition there,
Yeah.
and also I'm gonna have to do less." And like Destiny say, what I have to do is less soul crushing than sometimes like those girls. You can tell they don't. Like they're doing it because they have to do it, and they're like, yeah.
I would be
Well,
more
do they
scared
have
on the campsites, honestly. A lot of those girls have to like cover up all their windows. They're like in a room with like 0 windows whatsoever because all these guys are like trying to like literally find out where they live.
Dude,
I mean, this is
that
Twitch.
happens on
This is Twitch as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I think
streaming.
it would be worse on the campsites. But yeah, I mean, Twitch
It's
would probably be easier to find.
I did a really deep dive with like a 4-hour conversation with Amaranth about like just like streaming and everything, and I couldn't believe some of the shit that she's gone through. Like every single time she's in a restaurant, people will call up the restaurant and say she's doing sexual acts in there or whatever to get her kicked out. Every time she's in public anywhere, they'll call the store and try to get her kicked out. She literally told me she had to structure her entire life differently. It's so bad. It's like, yeah, it's bad.
What you just explained that she was telling you, I don't think it's only a female problem. I think it's a streamer problem. I mean, like,
No, there's a uniquely
very
female problem with guys that think that they like want to fucking like live with you and date you and be your love or whatever. It's very
so
rare
creepy.
that like it does happen to guys, but it's not as common.
That is scary.
yeah, it is very scary.
There's a concept of this is something I noticed streaming. I want to be like really careful about this, but I had a whole weekend where I was streaming with Hot Chubby recently, and there's like this is not even a majority of the chat or anything, but there's just enough of them that it's like really uncomfortable. They have this like sense of ownership. Like that they need to possess this and protect this woman in some way, and it's like this like really crazy thing that like
weird.
It manifests in all these bizarre ways. Like if I did anything that was like even slightly weird, like I moved her glass to get to somebody, it's like don't assume that you need to move that. Like what are you doing? Like that kind of shit. Like it's like this. I mean we say like white.
Well, they
knight,
think like they think like
Yeah.
what do you like? They assume everything that you're doing, like you're trying to like do something. I don't know. It's just weird.
Dude, I hate to fucking give
very
this take
weird.
in front of Train, but one of the my funniest things that happened when I played, anytime I would play League with like smaller streamer girls, there would always be at least like 1 or 2 mods that would like lose their fucking mind over it. It was the funniest thing, and it's like just like we're not even doing anything. We just like play League, and the guy like out of nowhere is just like hardcore fucking trashing me, like saying like crazy shit. You can tell that the dude has got like some weird ownership complex in the back of his head. It is the most awkward fucking thing in the world when you see people do shit like that. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
I was about to say the mods are the worst of them all.
Sometimes, yeah.
There's also an
Yeah.
extra added weirdness on Twitch where Asian girls get even weirder comments than normal.
Mhm.
It feels
Dude, are you
Well,
talking
that's because there are a
I'm
lot of
telling you.
there are a lot
are
of
you-
white guys that fetishize the fuck out of Asian women.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know if
Dude,
you're
I'm
talking
telling
about
you,
Twitch slasher or live stream fail, but right now, dude, listen, there was like
It's like
10
meta.
different. It's ridiculous, and at least have the respect to put their Twitch handles on there to help them grow. It's literally Korean streamer, Korean
Yeah,
MILF,
Asian girl,
Asian
yeah.
girl. Like
Oh, well, I think that's a meme. I think they do that as a meme.
No,
I think it
I don't
started
know,
as a meme. And
There's
then
two, and I've also this is something I learned from LSF as well. There's 2 different like ethnicities in Southeast Asia. You have Koreans and then Asian, and that's like the only 2 they ever.
That's it. Yep,
That's the only 2 that they ever put.
that's exactly right.
That's true. That's all they put. Yeah.
Let's kick this pig. Hassan, how's Bernie gonna help me, the corporate overlord, make more money?
this is actually good.
I don't think he will be able to help you make more money directly. Like, I don't know what his like small business programs are gonna look like at all.
I'm not getting
as
a lot of
matter
confidence
fact.
from you, buddy.
Okay, here, how about this one? Okay, if you own a business and you've got employees, you don't have to give them healthcare anymore because Bernie will do it with Medicare for all. One less thing
Really?
you got to worry about. Well, that would be the goal, yeah.
And most of the people that, or if this actually gets passed and we have free college, which is very unlikely, but let's say it happens, you would have a more educated labor pool to pull from. You know what I mean?
Wait, hold on.
Here's another one. Wait, here's another one. All right, yeah, go.
Question. So, how would you pay the teachers? Like, how would you pay the professors and stuff? If everything's free, like, where would the money for that come from?
Taxes. What do you mean?
So you would just increase the taxes, and then that's how they would get paid.
Ideally, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's probably also going to be price regulations too. I don't think taxes alone is enough to keep public colleges afloat, especially with the current state of university tuition in America and the endowments that colleges have currently.
So
like,
okay.
Public schools would probably have to dial back on pricing.
So would all schools be like the same basically? Because I mean, how are you going to differentiate like how much different
you have private schools and you have
and...
public schools, right? Like you have state schools and whatnot here that's subsidized by the state through taxes, and then you have private schools that also get subsidies, I think, in some forms, but they're private. They don't have any obligations to the states that they're in to have anyone come in from that particular state, right? Normally in a country like where I'm from, in Turkey, the public schools are fully public, as in you take a test, a standardized test, which is not the best way to go about it, obviously, and it's like a multifaceted approach. There's standardized tests and like extracurriculars and whatnot, and you have college admissions that as a consequence of what your score is, what your rank is on that standardized test, pick you for the best public universities in the country. Like you can go to the best university in the country for free completely if you get the proper score.
So just based on score. So would they pay the teachers at these schools more?
I mean, the payments for the teachers would come down to what you would publicly vote on it for, right? Like what we would want them to be paid.
Like I don't know. Like because my thing is like if everything becomes free, then the money's got to come from somewhere. Okay, taxes. So if everything becomes free, it comes from taxes. Then like how are you going to differentiate between like better schools, worse schools, better professors, worse professors, different programs?
Well, you can still have other barriers to entry. So, for instance, you might need a certain test score to get into a certain school, or there might be like a different application process. But the idea would be that like there are normal barriers to entry to school besides just money, right? The idea would be to remove the barrier of entry of money being one of those things to determine whether or not you go to a certain school, right? Like if you have the talent to qualify into a certain tier of school, ideally we wouldn't want to have that student not go there because they don't have the financial means to do so. And then like your goal, even though you're looking at like tax increases, like you hope to make this money back in a roundabout way because having a more educated population also means people that won't like get into debt are probably healthier, so they don't have as many medical expenses. They usually earn more money, so they don't have as many they don't need to rely on welfare as much and stuff like that. Like hopefully you get the money back in other ways as well.
But I feel like something has to come from somewhere, right? You can't just like positive all around the board, right? So like if people have more money, like I don't know. Like I just don't understand. That's
so one of the weird things about economic transactions is that it's not like a zero-sum game. It's not like we have like $1,000 in the economy and that's all that we can give out and that's it.
Right.
Like you can have it so that multiple people are doing well in society, and that's actually creating wealth for more people. Which is a concept that I guess a lot of people are familiar with. So for instance, like if we start publicly funding schools using say like government subsidized money, and then those people are getting better jobs, and then those people are having better outcomes, and then those people are contributing more taxes, and in a roundabout way, a more educated population hopefully nets you like more tax receipts so that you can fund your government better, even though it required like a jump start on government funds to get there.
Okay. So my thing is like right now, I have like a crap ton of student loans, right? Because I did well enough to be able to get into like a pretty good school, but it was expensive, right? It was private school. So I have like a crap ton of student loans. Don't they also say they want to get rid of student loans?
Some people do, yeah.
Yeah.
So if they wanted to get rid of student loans, like how would they do that? And where, like that's like all like negative money. Like who would eat that?
Well, the government would be the purchaser of those loans, basically, and then it would just be marked as like a debt on the government books that they're just going to the budget, basically.
Well, because I went to a private school. Would that still be the case at a private school?
Even if you go to a private school, the people that hold your debt, it's probably going to be some type of credit company that would sell that debt to the United States. The U.S. Is it the Treasury? I don't think the Treasury, but the U.S. Whatever would buy that debt, and then they would be the holder of that debt, and then they would just wipe it off the books, and you'd no longer own on it.
Okay.
A regular private school in France would cost me for the year what I used to pay for one of my kids for the month.
Mm-hmm.
It was it's such a huge gap, even for private schools.
How the hell is Pete Buttigieg so close to Bernie in delegates? I cannot figure this out. 23 to 21, 2 delegates apart. It is insane. This is free publicity, free headlines, free advertising for Buttigieg. Absolutely crazy. Not to mention, I saw a post somewhere where Buttigieg and 2 others collectively have 58% of the Democratic vote, and Bernie only has 26. What are we going to do about this? What's the solution? What's going to happen?
Have you gotten 100 gifted subs yet?
No, I haven't.
Well, then we're fucked, I guess.
Good thing right now, the candidates are not unified. It's not 3 people running against Bernie Sanders. It's people individually running against one another. But you are right. I think the Democratic Party is very divided. I do not believe that there is like an ideological middle ground where people are genuinely like, oh, I'm a neoliberal. And actually, the reason why I'm voting for Pete Buttigieg is because, I want tax credits or means tested programs rather than like free college. I think people make decisions about voting in a much stupider way than we give them credit. And this is for Bernie supporters as well, 100%. This is not just like, I'm not saying that like Bernie supporters are brilliant and everyone else's supporters are stupid. I'm saying everyone is stupid. And the way to do this is to honestly cover the candidates and honestly cover their policies, which most likely is not going to happen anytime in the near future, given the personal and material interest that media companies have against the policy positions of particular candidates. And I would even include Elizabeth Warren in this, along with Bernie. So it's not going to happen for the time being until either Bernie goes beyond a plurality, but has like an overwhelming support, or really performs well in the upcoming couple of primaries, and then a lot of the voters realize like, all right, this is the fucking guy, and then they start voting for him. Or Michael Bloomberg comes in like he's about to on Super Tuesday, and he has already spent 300 plus million dollars in ads, and sweep up as many delegates as possible from those 16 states, I believe, and territories, and also Americans abroad. And it's a fucking crapshoot.
So
Warren has to drop out. This is
I
such
agree
a
with
huge
that.
problem for Bernie.
So whether people drop
making it
out
so
is
hard
usually
for him.
a lot of it is tied to like how much money they have on hand. Like you can look at their funding and then find out like, is this person going to stick around for a lot longer? Like that's one of the scary things about Biden. The reason why Pete his numbers are so good right now is because Pete's campaign literally like Hail Married the fuck out of Iowa in the hopes that they could like the whole political process is very gamey. It feels very much like a video game. Like you're playing like an RTS and you've got to put like certain units in certain places and hope that an advantage there like rolls over into something elsewhere. Like Pete's campaign banked everything on Iowa and New Hampshire, and they're using the momentum there to go forward. But like when Nevada and South Carolina roll around, like Pete doesn't have very much momentum in these states. It's like it's going to be hard to say, I guess, because I don't know if there have been new polls recently, but I know like Biden is still, the last I checked, Biden was still leading, I think, in both of those states. So you're probably going to see Pete drop off pretty hard between now and then, especially on Super Tuesday. Just we're only like 2 primaries in, and they're not really important, or 1 primary, 1 caucus. They're not really important like representative states of like the entire country. Maybe New Hampshire a little bit more so than Iowa, but.
No, not at all. New Hampshire and Iowa have almost identical demographic breakdowns. They both have 93 and 94% white demographics. So it's like much wider than the rest of the country. So Nevada is going to be a little bit more diverse, which is where you're going to see Pete Buttigieg currently polling at 8% in 3rd place. Probably see a big drop off, and hopefully Biden is looking to pick up some support there, so he can survive all the way to South Carolina. If he doesn't, and there's like a lot of controversy happening around like the culinary union right now too. Like there's some union bosses that are pro Biden, have been like there were pro Hillary Clinton in 2016, that are trying to breathe back life into the Biden campaign as best as they can. But it seems like Bernie's probably going to win Nevada. So I know it's Nevada, not Nevada. Everyone gets so fucking mad at me the way I pronounce it. Seems like Bernie's going to win Nevada though. And we'll see what happens in South Carolina, because Tom Steyer, who's another fucking billionaire, but like a much nicer one than Michael Bloomberg, at least. He has spent a lot of ads. He has put in a lot of effort into South Carolina and has chipped away at Joe Biden's black support. And he is in second position. He actually passed Bernie Sanders in South Carolina. I think he's polling at like 19% now and very close to Joe Biden. So we'll see what happens. Joe Biden is like mostly focusing on South Carolina, though.
I mean, Bernie is in the best position. I mean, he was able to still get Iowa and New Hampshire. He's in contention to win Nevada, and maybe South Carolina he'll get second if Biden doesn't completely fall out or fall apart. And so he has advantages over everyone else. With Pete is not going to do as well in Nevada or South Carolina. Bloomberg isn't entering the race until Super Tuesday. So Bernie still has the best chance of winning. He just has so many like obstacles to go over that it's going to be really difficult.
Bernie's biggest problem, his biggest hurdle to overcome, is not necessarily electability, and it's not necessarily a strong opposition. He does not really have a strong political candidate that opposes him. I would say that if Bernie Sanders was an establishment-backed candidate, he would be regarded as he would be getting praised like Hillary Clinton was getting praised in media for the most part because of how strong he is overall. And it's not. This is not just my opinion. There are CNN panelists who normally would have a more establishment-backed position also agreeing with this at this point. Even Nate Silver agrees with me on this point, and he's like very liberal. The biggest problem that Bernie has right now is the media, is the coverage that he's getting, and the concerted effort that people are making against him, whether it be about how he is a divisive candidate and how his Bernie bros are divisive. These are all completely like cultivated talking points. It's weaponized against Bernie Sanders' campaign. Bernie Sanders, I think, is not divisive enough. I wish he was a little bit more divisive on the bully pulpit whenever he's on a debate stage, but he's not. And now they're trying to use his like passionate fan base against him by using like extreme examples of like one fucking person who did something dumb or I don't know, there's like people on the internet, like CNN doing coverage of like people on the internet saying, sending poop emojis or snake emojis to fucking political figures as though that's like cyberbullying or targeted harassment.
Didn't they literally bully some woman who was like volunteering her time for a Nevada polling station because she had like worked on a Hillary Clinton campaign before? It's not just random shit that's happening. Also, the idea that Bernie's campaign,
you want me to describe it?
It is bullying when you literally
you have some of the facts wrong, but I can describe it if you want. So
no, I'm good actually. Hold on, wait. You just talked for like 20 minutes. So just to counter a couple of these points, because not true.
But I the idea that but you're giving false information. So
yeah, most of your information was false. So that's what I want to talk about right now. So the idea that Bernie isn't running a more diverse or divisive campaign, that's not really borne out in any of the data. So when we poll people that vote for other candidates and say their willingness to support, for instance, any Democrat in the general, like most candidates poll like 85+%. Bernie polls at like 53 or 56%. Like about half of Bernie supporters would even consider voting for someone else in the general. So the idea.
But that's not about Bernie's rhetoric, though. Would you say
that is literally the definition of divisive. Now, if you want to make up a different story to explain why they're divisive, sure. Whether they're sick of the establishment.
Well, I'm not making up a different story. I said I wish Bernie was more divisive in his rhetoric. I wish he pushed back against other candidates more, but he really doesn't. I have a problem with that.
Great. It doesn't matter. But the idea is that Bernie's policies or something about him must be more divisive because that's what's borne out in the data. Secondly, people complain about the bad media that Bernie gets all the time. Bernie's a populist. To some extent, bad media helps someone like that because it allows people to cultivate these crazy conspiracy theories about how the media is all against him. Trump is a very similar type of populist to Bernie. He's just on the other end of the political spectrum. Trump got a ton of bad media. That didn't stop him from annihilating the Republicans in their election.
Yeah, but there's
and
one
being at record level
between Trump and Bernie, though, right? And that is that Trump also had Fox News, especially after the primaries, Fox News that fully supported him. And Fox
after
News
the primaries, but that's because Trump won the primaries. He didn't lose.
Popular I know, but Fox News is the most popular.
Why are we
news network.
comparing him after the primaries when he won the nomination? Bernie hasn't done that yet. If Bernie wins the nomination and then the Democrats are still shitting all over him, then yeah, we can go from there. But I mean, the Democratic.
That's what my fear is.
Okay. I mean, would you agree that the Democratic Party fucking loves Hillary Clinton? They sure did jump on and support Barack Obama after he came out of nowhere and trashed Hillary in that nomination process. I think the Democrats got behind them like pretty well, even though that was a pretty bloody campaign season. So I mean, like if Bernie wins and he's still getting shown up by the establishment, sure. But the idea that it's just bad media stopping Bernie, that's just people living in denial. And the idea that his campaign isn't quite divisive when his supporters are less likely to vote for anybody else is also like, that's pretty.
I didn't say it's just the media. I'm saying it's the most significant hurdle that Bernie's campaign needs to overcome. I don't even know really how they would be able to overcome this, is the endless barrage of attacks that they get. I mean, as soon as Bernie's victory was announced in New Hampshire, we immediately started talking about how the third place person, Amy Klobuchar, was actually the most significant winner.
Yeah,
of the
because
night,
Amy has literally never moved the needle on like her national polling more than like 5 or 6%. I think that even includes the Iowa.
I know they've been boosting
Amy
Amy Klobuchar despite that reality for quite some time now, and that's what I'm saying when I say media plays favorites with their candidates.
So is the establishment's favorite? Does it literally rotate between like 4 or 5 different candidates? I'm having trouble keeping track.
Considering the fact that you assume that you put three moderates very comfortably together against Bernie Sanders when you mentioned that 53% versus 26%. I think that we all intrinsically understand that there is an ideological center, especially amongst politically savvy folks.
Hold on, you're making these are two totally separate arguments. So the reason why the reason
in the media understand who it is.
No, stop with this political savvy bullshit. The reason why I grouped them together is because it seemed like New Hampshire went 150,000 votes versus 100,000 for Bernie versus Hillary, where Hillary was clearly the moderate, Bernie was clearly the farther left candidate. So it seems interesting now. So it seems interesting now that New Hampshire isn't voting as far left when they have more moderates to choose from. That's an interesting thing. That doesn't mean that all three of those candidates are interchangeable with one another.
Americans vote.
Okay, I know that you understand everything. If there was a grander conspiracy lined up, if there was a grander,
describe it to you.
Christ, dude, you talked for like 30 fucking minutes. Okay, never mind. Just let us on like roll over everything else and like talk about what he wrote on Twitter threads. Jesus Christ!
It seems like it honestly seems like you don't fully understand what you're talking about.
I don't understand. Yeah,
different points.
Right. Yeah,
dude, you sound like two sassy girls going for like student council.
But it's not.
It's just annoying that I can't even explain like one point after he just spews off like fucking like 3 hours of bullshit because he's used to going like unchallenged on his stream.
Because you keep bringing up certain subjects. If you have a problem with anything I say, I'll stop as soon as I mention it. And
it would have been normally I say that. I know you're copying that because I say that, but normally I say that at the beginning of the debate, not after I've rambled for like 20 minutes.
You're right.
I don't normally say that if I ramble for 20 minutes.
Okay,
so like, so here, let's talk specifically about this one thing. The reason why I grouped the moderates, is because it seems strange that New Hampshire went so overwhelmingly for Bernie in the past, but now it seems like they favor moderates. Where if we were to group moderate and left-leaning positions,
voters don't group moderates. Media and politically savvy people have a better understanding of what is an establishment candidate or what is a moderate candidate, but voters don't vote that way. I personally believe that voters, both on the Bernie Sanders side, as I conceded earlier, and also on the Pete Buttigieg or Amy Klobuchar side, oftentimes vote for completely random things. Sometimes.
Okay, so do you have any polling data that backs any of this up for exit polling?
Yes, that's what I actually wanted to mention to you, or at least briefly mention to you in the New Hampshire exit data that I was talking about, where 61% of people said that they would back a government-funded single-payer healthcare plan that would take away their private insurance. But 61% of New Hampshire people did not vote for Bernie Sanders. So obviously, the exit data shows that people are interested in one thing, but they're voting in a totally different way. And that's precisely because people are not completely aware of what every single candidate represents.
Okay, like 80% of people, like 80% of people that voted in that said that didn't vote for Bernie also said they didn't vote for him because his positions were too far left. So I mean, it might be that healthcare isn't. It might be that healthcare isn't the only thing that people vote on. You know, there are other issues that are important.
I know, but that still plays into. But that still plays into exactly what I'm talking about, which is that people don't really make smart decisions on who they are voting for. They don't make it on.
So when people don't vote for Bernie, so I understand. I've heard this talking about before. When people don't vote for Bernie, it's because they're not making intelligent decisions. But when they do vote for Bernie, they're voting on policy or for good decisions.
No, wait. Why do you refuse to hear the first concession that I make over and over again? I think you're being extremely uncharitable right now. I keep saying people that vote for Bernie are also making a decision for a particular reason that is not exclusive to policy. I'm not saying that people that vote for Bernie are fucking five-head intellectuals who are voting for Bernie. No, some of them are voting for Bernie Sanders because they like that he was against Hillary Clinton. Some of them were voting for Bernie Sanders because they like that he is honest. Some of them are voting for Bernie Sanders because they like that he has a message on Medicare for all that resonates with them, or because they're fucking commies or whatever. Like, there are a million different reasons for why people vote, and that's why exit data is notoriously unreliable, and most honest people that look at this sort of stuff will usually not use it. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because I want to try to show you that it is, one, notoriously unreliable, and two, American voters are fucking insane. So it's really difficult to be like, it's really, to me, it's very weird to make an argument that they're all super moderate. And that's precisely why
I'm not making
like
the argument that they're super moderate. First of all, you were the first one to bring up exit data. Secondly, the reason why I brought it up was I was just
show
saying,
you that Americans vote in a
oh
fucking
my God.
way.
All I was saying was that it was strange that Bernie won overwhelmingly on a pretty leftist platform, but prior to that, and now it seems like more people in New Hampshire are voting in a bit more of a moderate fashion. I'm pushing back against this idea that Bernie bros have, that all of America is like on board with these like as far left policies as possible, when I don't think that's true, especially of all the moderate and conservative Democratic voters. That's all I'm pushing back on.
No, I'm not saying that all of America is like, immediately trying to overthrow the American government or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm not a fucking moron. I don't believe that. What I'm simply stating is, well, especially when it comes to like why people vote, the number one reason why people are fucking trying to vote right now, or not in the primaries, but definitely going to vote in the general, is they just don't want Trump in office anymore. Okay? That is the overwhelming reason why most people are going to go out and vote in the general. That is why there is a lot of confusion in the primaries, because there are a lot of candidates and people haven't been able to unify behind one. So they're just like fucking going out and voting for a particular candidate because maybe the New York Times endorsed one, or because maybe they saw Pete Buttigieg, or they saw an ad that made them feel good about Pete Buttigieg, and that's why they're voting for him. So, like, I'm not saying I have the fucking answers as to why people are voting for a particular candidate. I'm just saying that they're not like ideologically moderate in the way that some people are trying to make it seem like. But at least with Bernie Sanders, there is a discernible policy when it comes to Medicare for all. If you look at recent polling data, not exit polls, but just like polling data, I think it was like Morning Consult maybe. I'm not entirely familiar, but I don't remember the exact name of the poll. I can show you, but he gets the highest marks on environmental issues. He gets the highest marks out of all of the other candidates on even race-related issues, and he certainly gets the overwhelming majority of the highest marks on Medicare.
Wait, why is that? Why is the exit data like relevant now when it's pertaining to this?
No, this isn't exit data. This is an exit polling. This is just like a different poll.
So why does this poll matter than the exit polling?
No, I'm not saying it matters more. I'm just saying exit polling is less reliable than regular polls that you can conduct on people. Exit polling on the same day is less reliable than like actual polling data that you can put through a multitude of different factors.
Okay, sure. I don't really know how we got off.
You agree with that, right? I thought you would agree with that.
I mean, I've never heard that specific.
One-day event. One is like a one-day event. The other is like you can track it across a period of time.
Sure, but I mean, the idea of exit data is that like you can get like a snapshot of people's opinions at the time that they went into the poll, because things change over time. Regardless of this, I don't think it changes my prior to statements that I do think that Bernie's fan base is a bit more divisive than most. I don't think that you can just like hand wave off like all of the harassment that goes on online.
Well, you mentioned the Hillary staffer. She wasn't really a Hillary staffer. She worked on the Pete Buttigieg campaign, and considering what had happened in Iowa, and considering the fact that Troy Pierce in Iowa and the Iowa Democratic Party literally had to resign when other people used the concerns of the extremely online left to say, hey, it's really fucked up that you're a part of this, considering that you had actual photos with the person that made this app and actual photos with like Pete Buttigieg's campaign staffers. We do not want you to be a part of this process, considering how big of a fuck up it was, considering that was all leftist harassment that led to that. I would go ahead and say
That's
that.
not the only type of leftist harassment we're talking about.
Well, the
Firstly,
other leftist harassment that we were talking about was a Pete Buttigieg campaign staffer.
the PR stuff is legitimate, I guess. Oh my God! Sorry, go ahead and talk for another 55 minutes. Jesus Christ!
Well,
so the problem is that I'll just keep talking. We'll see if we can do this. Okay. So the problem is that like a lot of the people that
I just mentioned, do you?
Well, no, it's not that I disagree with it. Like you have some of the descriptive parts right, kind of like Alex Jones does when he goes on to broadly describe conspiracies, right? Yes, there are a lot of people that do a lot of work with a lot of political campaigns. Like people have pointed this out. Congratulations. You know, Bernie's own fucking campaign manager has also done prior work for John Kerry's campaign, for the ACLU. Like all of these people, of course, work with each other. You're not pointing out some like massive conspiracy by saying like, wow, the guy that runs the IDP or whatever in Iowa, this guy, you know, was taking pictures with Buttigieg or his campaign manager. That's not like a groundbreaking claim. Yeah, they fired him, but they didn't fire him because they uncovered some sort of bias or some sort of conspiracy. They just fired him because people were fucking complaining about it, because for the first time ever, some people are taking a look at some of these processes and going like, the voters were uncomfortable because the voters are probably fucking stupid. Like you said earlier, would you agree with me? Because voters think that if they see any two people together, there must be a conspiracy theory. Because if the voters see any two people together,
that work in the Iowa Democratic Party that work with this person said that they were uncomfortable with the conflict of interest that they perceived,
and some Americans
the fact that he literally was photographed with these people.
Shit, this is like fucking every debate I've had with every conservative ever. A lot of American voters were uncomfortable with Peter Strzok working in the FBI because of the text messages that leaked that Mueller had to like kick him off the case on. Just because you might think that something is improper, it doesn't mean there necessarily is. And just because somebody gets fired for it doesn't mean that they uncovered any wrongdoing. It just means, oh well, let's avoid the PR shit show and fucking fire the person. Especially after the shit show that was Iowa, that's fine. But there is no massive conspiracy here. There is no massive cover up, or there is no massive like systemic fucking whatever against Bernie. It's just the fact that a lot of people that work on campaigns also work in the Democratic Party. They also work with caucuses. They also volunteer at all these other places. And if you want to go around and demonize every single person that works at a fucking caucus station because they have a prior attachment to some of their campaign, you're literally gonna have nobody volunteering at any of these fucking places ever. They don't just pull these people off the fucking street.
The Iowa caucus was like personally rigged by the Shadow app or something?
I don't know. You know, if you look at what people like Brooks are saying or what Kyle Kalinske is saying.
Ask me the question. Right now, ask me.
Sure. What do you think? You're probably going to say, oh, no, I think it was just the incompetence of the Democratic Party. But I bet if we go and look at your tweets and retweets, I bet you're retweeting a whole bunch of conspiracy nonsense about it.
I think you're sounding a little bit more conspiratorial in this conversation because I can give you an honest answer.
Sure, what's the honest
answer that you can find on my YouTube, an honest answer that you can find on my coverage as well. I don't think that you can rig a caucus. A caucus is relatively undemocratic in comparison to a regular primary, which is closed and you can just like vote in privacy. But a caucus, you can't really do that because there are literal physical bodies in the room. This is something I've talked about when there were other conspiratorial people or confused or skeptical people in my audience leading up to the Iowa caucus.
You literally said, I'm pretty sure, we can go find the fucking tweets. I know how much you hate this, but I'm pretty sure you literally said things like, we don't live in a democracy. Like, what? How am I supposed to interpret that?
I don't think we live in a democracy at all. Wait, you think you think we have a perfectly democratic process when you yourself personally admitted the shit show, the Iowa caucus, or the
no. The difference between you and no. The difference between you and me is that I had always admitted that caucuses are a shit show. You loved him when Bernie won them, though. That's the difference between you and me. You literally were championing the caucus. You said, "Call me Michael Dukakis," when you heard that they were doing caucuses for fucking Iowa.
I said that caucuses are undemocratic and they're not the best way to do it. Bernie does well in them. Sanders' chances are better. Yeah, I'm perfectly honest about it. Bernie Sanders is technically supposed to have better chances in caucus states, considering the fact that he has a more passionate base of support and they can actually change a lot of minds in the room. That's what I said. Bernie Sanders' team personally has advocated against caucuses. No one likes caucuses. And after this election cycle, I'm fairly certain that we're no longer going to be using the Iowa caucus system. But the reason why I don't like the caucuses isn't because there's like people in the room or because it's undemocratic. The reason why I don't like it is, especially in this instance, and usually is because of the state delegate equivalence. The state delegate estimations are a complicated mathematical procedure that you can't describe, I can't describe, that is a system where you rely on fucking coin tosses, and I consider that to be inherently undemocratic. And
you realize how dumb this sounds now when you were a big fan of the process before Bernie lost to Pete on it, right?
Well,
like you
first of all,
realize how
Bernie didn't
stupid
lose.
he lost the state delegate equivalents to. He lost the state.
No, he
delegate
didn't.
equivalent.
There's a recanvassing going on currently, and I think the outcome of that recanvassing is very likely be different than what you think it is, especially considering that there were 100 reporting errors, and beyond that, the Associated Press didn't declare a winner. The New York Times didn't declare a winner. So either you're just watching CNN and repeating the propaganda that you hear there that declared Pete Buttigieg the winner. I would ask you not to spread misinformation on a platform with 48,000
you're like, this is like
people.
every Jordan Peterson fan ever. Like, you're sitting here pretending like you didn't ever claim there was a conspiracy theory. But like, I remember going through your giant fucking tweet thread on how you would be crazy not to say that there's not a fucking conspiracy. And now you're pretending like, oh, well, I was just like kind of innocently inquiring. Like, I wasn't trying to say anything.
I
like,
think
you must realize how fucking disingenuous
I think the conspiracy theory that you consider to be a conspiracy theory that I think is like fairly legitimate is the fact that every single person that is already very openly stated their biases against a Bernie Sanders that are lifetime political operatives in positions of power, both in the DNC.
Why do these biases matter? Why do these biases matter if you can't rig a caucus, though?
Because when you're this biased in this circumstance, you can use the potential rollout of the numbers. You can freeze. You can essentially dominate the media cycle for the next 4 days after the Iowa caucus with Pete Buttigieg as the winner, and his declaration of being the winner was correct, and that's precisely what happened.
So tell me how this worked. Do you think was there like a marching order from the top?
We've already passed beyond the Iowa caucus. We've already gone over the New Hampshire primaries, and we still don't have a fucking result from the Iowa caucus. I personally think that if this was truly a fair and free election, if people weren't as biased towards who they thought was going to be the perceived winner of the Iowa caucus leading up to the Iowa caucus as Bernie Sanders was surging, there would have been a better system. They would have been.
That's great. So like pretty much everything you said and how you're presenting your position now is a total fucking lie because you have no integrity. You can go ahead and talk for another 35 fucking minutes, but everybody's fucking seen your massive fucking tweet threads where you talk about, oh, this is just like if in Bolivia, some socialist, blah, blah, blah. You were 100% on board with every. This is literally not what happened in Bolivia. It's actually not what happened in Bolivia. You were literally on every fucking conspiracy. You were literally on every fucking conspiracy theory.
They froze the result.
Possibly can repeat, and now you're going to try to pretend that you're walking it back now. Because all of you realized the day after how fucking ridiculous your unfounded fucking conspiracy theories were. That's exactly what's happening. Like you 100% were buying into this shit, and you were driving up these narratives to your entire fucking fan base while the results were rolling out. You're pretending there's this what? I will talk for like more than 20 seconds before you cut me off again. I literally am right. We can all go and read your tweet threads right now about this. Like you didn't delete them. I don't know if you forgot.
I'm already rehashing them to you and trying to describe them.
You're rehashing them in the standard way that like PewDiePie would rehash his support or whatever, that you would fucking grill him over like, oh, I didn't know that this guy was or whatever. I just meant it as like a blah blah blah.
Talking about political conversations without resorting to like gamer examples, or is that the only thing that?
Why does it matter? I'm just drawing from something that like frat boy Hasan would understand because it's right up your fucking lane of political commentary. I guess.
To you, but
you literally end a tweet. You literally end a tweet thread. By the way, with half of this shit being like not even like true. Okay, you literally end this thread with like liberals think this is so far fetched and all these things can be accounted for. Just imagine if Pete was an indigenous social leader of a Latin American country and Sanders blah blah blah.
Precisely what happened.
And then you're telling me with a straight face, oh no, I didn't parrot any conspiracy theories. It was just a hypothetical. LOL.
Conspiracy theories. I can back up.
I'm good with this topic. I'm good on this one. I need to argue with the Hasan that existed like fucking 2 weeks ago, and not like the apologist that exists now. It's trying to walk back all of his insane fucking conspiratorial fucking claims that he's now trying to disown because he realizes how fucking ridiculous they are.
Is this fun for anyone else? But I mean, I can keep going. I'm giving you exactly what I said.
All right, Devin, what's the next topic?
You're having a hard time coming to terms with that because you agree with me and it really frustrates you.
I don't agree with half the shit you said in the thread was fucking wrong. Okay, and then the conclusion you have is that very clearly there is a massive fucking conspiracy against Bernie because there's no other way to explain why people.
Not in the
there's no other way that people can
even. And why it's
perfectly
perfectly analogous with what happened in Iowa. In the way that the election results were being delivered in Bolivia, can you explain to me exactly what happened in Bolivia and why it's perfectly analogous to what happened in Iowa without resorting to DGG right now? Say it. Explain it to me right now. If you're so fucking...
My understanding of Bolivia, one of the big problems was that the leader literally held a referendum to undo the term limits or whatever.
In the way that the results were being delivered, Destiny. In the way that the results...
I don't know the exact way that the results in Bolivia were being... Go ahead and deliver me whatever dumb fuck Twitter thread you were fucking reading on, dude. Please tell me exactly... Please tell me...
You motherfucker! You don't know.
And
what
you think that in Bolivia, 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 you think that in Bolivia. Wait, hold on. I'm just curious. You think that in Bolivia the problem was with the reporting? You think the problem was with how they were reporting it? That was the only problem. It wasn't the independent investigation that was open that found all the inconsistencies in the polling data. It wasn't the investigation of the app that was recording vote totals that could have been compromised. It wasn't any of that. It was just the reporting of the data, Hasan. So can you go ahead and link me the Twitter thread that you're polling this from?
Why do you embarrass yourself?
Please tell me. Please tell me which Twitter thread you're polling this from. I really want to read the headlines.
What happened in Bolivia, in the way that the results were being reported, was nearly identical to Iowa, where there was a freeze out of actual results being reported, and in areas where Morales had more support, all of a sudden had results being delivered right after the blackout. This was a big point of contention with the international authorities, and that was the reason why people said that these results were most likely not legitimate. That is
so that if you actually read the OAS report, that's not true. But I know you didn't read it. I know you only fucking read the Twitter headlines. So firstly, what you just said, is not true. What you just said is not true. You didn't read the OAS report. I know you didn't. So don't pretend you did. Okay? I did. Okay? No. If you did, then you would know that that wasn't the reason, right? Secondly, this idea that you're talking about. No. So secondly, this thing that you're talking about, how like, oh well, they only rolled out like certain reports. The way that the Bernie bros were phrasing that, yeah, the reason why they didn't roll out the ones that were preferential to Bernie early is because they came from high population areas, and those take longer to count. That was it. If you looked at the map of the reporting totals that they had on the Iowa caucus night, you're like, oh look, it's all just areas that favored Bernie that they delayed in reporting. Guess what? Yeah. It wasn't. It was just high population areas. And guess what? Yeah, those tend to favor Bernie because he had more urban support than he did rural support. It's not that big of a conspiracy theory. But yeah, if you stack enough of these bullshit claims on top of one another that I know you've pulled off of fucking Twitter threads, yeah, they can sound like pretty good at the end of the day. But to pretend like the issue with Bolivia, to pretend that the issue with Bolivia was only that the fucking results were being reported like in a little bit of a delayed way is hilariously fucking stupid.
Well, that was a big point of contention that was a big reason why people thought that were not actually legitimate.
It was one of many reasons. Yeah, it wasn't the only.
Decision, which is directly analogous to what happened in Iowa, where the results were being called into question, considering the fact that there was someone in a position of power with a clear conflict of interest with their personal bias.
That wasn't why the results were being called into question. The results were being called into question because it was taking so fucking long to get them out and because the app broke. The people that were working the fucking elections, all of that shit was publicly known before anything fucking happened. It's not like people were mad because of the conflict of interest. People didn't even look for the conflict of interest until the reporting began. And they were mad because it was taking so long for the results to roll out.
Here you are out of your element, and I'm sorry to say this. Many journalists, including Akilah Lacey of The Intercept, which I had in my debate coverage, and I probably will have in my debate coverage in the upcoming debates on next Wednesday, openly sent emails to the DNC and the Iowa Democratic Party. Numerous outlets asked questions as to who was in charge of this application. They asked what the security measures that they had in place for this application, and the DNC and the Iowa Democratic Party openly gave no comment. This was a month before the actual election. So no, people were actually asking questions about why they were utilizing this app and not using a manual reporting system that they normally had in a state where it literally takes 30 minutes to physically drive the results of every single caucus from one point to the Iowa Democratic Party's headquarters.
Why didn't they just report it the same way they did in the past and think it would work the same way?
That's what I'm saying. Why didn't they do that?
Oh, okay. I'll tell you because you're out of your element. So the reason why they tried to use an app reporting this time is because they were reporting more data for this Iowa caucus than they've ever reported for any caucus in the past. They were reporting first alignment and second alignment numbers and popular vote numbers, which are numbers they didn't release in the past. In 2016, Sanders' campaign literally begged Iowa to release the popular vote numbers.
You are wrong.
It's true. They didn't report the numbers.
They did not need to use an app for that, Destiny.
They don't need to use an app for it, but that was one of the reasons why they opted to, is because they thought there was more data report.
You are wrong. They could have fucking reported that manually. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Actually, in America,
what's the next topic we got going on here?
To drive results and personally count ballots. You're correct. Yeah, you needed an application for that.
I didn't say it was impossible. I just told you that was one of the reasons why they probably opted for an app, because they were reporting more data than they've ever reported before.
The reason why they use an application with Hillary campaign staffers that were totally out of their element, just like you are in this conversation, was because there is corruption in the Democratic Party, and it's a regular kind of corruption. It's the kind of nepotism that you claim that I have as well, that I'm a recipient of, a beneficiary of. These people work in campaigns, they know each other, and it's a economy that inflates itself essentially. They were like, hey, we can make a quick 60 grand off of this. We can sell this application to the Iowa Democratic Party and make a quick buck. The Iowa Democratic Party was like, sure, of course you can do that. Let's do it. And this is the result of it. You could 1000% manually report that information, even with the first alignment numbers and the second alignment numbers. You can ask literally any person who has covered politics or any person who actually does this for a living, and they will tell you that, especially in the state of Iowa, where you can drive from each precinct to the Iowa Democratic Party's headquarters in fucking 30 minutes, that you could have literally driven these results, not phoned it in. Which is
why did it take them so long to recount it afterwards then when they didn't use the app?
Oh, because I think they were personally carving out areas that were better for Pete.
Can you tell me how that would be coordinated in a caucus system? I'm curious. So was the IDP only trying to like count votes from it? Like, so when people called in with some of the votes that were pro Bernie, they're like, whoa, hold on, we don't want those yet.
Well, you asked the question. Of course.
So there was a conspiracy. Wait, so there was a conspiracy against Bernie, and now you're getting to it. I don't know why you couldn't just admit this in the beginning.
So are you just waiting for me to talk so you can talk? Because you asked.
No, I'm glad that now you're admitting that there is a conspiracy. Okay. So the IDP was working against Bernie to selectively report results.
Oh yeah,
you have no proof of that, of course. You have zero proof of that, right?
You're claiming is a conspiracy theory is the selective distribution of the information, especially after the DNC takeover of the Iowa caucus results. And
do you have any proof that they were selectively carving out the areas and they were just going by the high population areas that take longer to report because there's more data? Do you have any proof of that at all?
The reason why I'm mentioning this, if you asked me what the data is for this, Black Hawk Caucus and numerous other counties that were that had attributed more delegates to Bernie Sanders were sent in manually to the IDP office and never were reported on. And after the first 24 hours where those ballots had not been opened, electoral representatives that were there in the room started raising the alarm bells and asking why their ballot boxes had not been opened at all. So this is not a concern this is not an alarm that I'm raising. This is not a conspiratorial thing that I'm saying. This is literally reported information, both in the New York Times, Democracy Now, and numerous other mainstream media outlets about not only the misreporting of the data, but also people that were there in the room criticizing the Iowa Democratic Party for not getting to their results.
So your answer for why some things were being selectively reported was because some people turned in their things and it hadn't been reported early enough? And you think that there was a deliberate effort on behalf of the IDP?
They manually brought those in before anyone else, and their ballot boxes were not open. They were not untouched.
Okay, so I just want to hear you say this. You should be able to own a single fucking position. You think that there was a deliberate effort by the IDP to not report pro-Bernie votes?
IDP and DNC to manicure the data that they were releasing to ensure that it was as favorable to people as possible. 100%.
So you think that
yeah.
But that's not a conspiracy.
No, I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think
that's literally. Do you know what that's literally the definition of conspiracy?
I think that the reason why you consider anything to be a conspiracy is like only you are allowed to speculate, or even in that instance.
Okay, so I'll give you the Wikipedia definition: is a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. This is literally the definition of a conspiracy. I don't know if you don't know what a conspiracy is. Maybe you're out of your element again because it's English language. I know you've said in the past it's trouble for you.
Yeah. Remember, this is a conspiracy. Personal jabs, by the way. I really like Hasan. By the way, butthurt Andy.
Can you name something that's not a gamer example? Why do you keep taking personal jabs? I mean, they get ass mad when I do it back to you. If you can't take it, don't dish it out and stick to the fucking issues. Like, I'm not here to listen to you fucking cry after you take personal digs at me.
When we can use relevant information, when we can actually talk about the topic at hand.
Guys,
if you wanted to give relevant information, then we wouldn't be comparing Bolivia to the Iowa caucus.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, Manuel.
Bye, Manuel.
Okay, we can get back to it.
The new One Piece chapter is out, so go read it. Love you guys. See you.
Mod spam Manny's Twitch channel.
Can we talk about inconsistent Twitch bans or something? What's their next topic?
Honestly, usually it's weird. Usually, like, politics is boring, but the way, like, today it was actually cozy. Like, I was actually in a calm mood, and it just, like, chilled me, dude. It chilled me out. It was actually It was actually decent today. It was very cozy today. I don't know why. Not to mention, I don't give a fuck how much you two say you despise each other. That your interaction is cute. No, it's cute. It's cute. I can't do it. Your interactions together are cute. Your interactions are cute. Even this is cute.
Can we at least admit that the information about Iowa that is a conspiracy? Like by definition, you're literally.
Look at this, dude. I can't. Okay, brother. Listen, brother. Read up a little bit more. Okay, read up a little bit more. Do your streams.
I'll mail a dictionary your way, man. Don't worry.
Hey, good luck to you, brother. Have fun. I'm not gonna sit here and fucking lie about like how much I love Destiny. I think he is kind of an annoying person, and
that's super cozy. All right, that's actually not too bad.
Train, why did you do this? You knew this was gonna happen. Why would you fucking make everybody?
It wasn't trade.
No, stop, Devin, he's trolling. Because before, when Slasher asked, he's trolling. When Slasher asked if Hasan when Slasher said bring Hasan on, I messaged out of respect. I messaged Destiny. I'm like, yo, this is what's happening. I've said no, but if he's like, yo, bring it on. I don't mind. I'm okay with it. I said okay. So I added him in. So he's trolling, Devin. He's trolling.
Well, no. I mean, I don't mind, but I'm saying I feel bad. I didn't know we were going to talk about politics. I feel like I literally just talked about politics for like 3 hours.
There is no politics in the fucking document. We left it specifically out of the fucking document. There is literally no politics in there to talk.
Anyway, Devin, you'd also like Bernie Sanders because he's a big protectionist. So he would make it so it's harder for foreign companies to compete with your own companies here in America. There you go.
That's cool. Thanks. That was my whole question.
Hold on.
Can we go to bed now?
Oh yeah.
Wait, we gotta have like another cozy topic or something. Don't.
But I feel like I didn't say anything.
Don't put this on me.
Destiny wants to end it on a good note.
Don't put this one on me, okay?
Okay.
Destiny ruining the podcast. Unbelievable.
Let me see what
Oh wait,
I got.
okay. Here, I'll ask a question. Okay.
Wait, actually, Destiny, before you go, I'm gonna do a quick little roast here. Goshio says, "Train is so cringe." Goshio, you just literally in your log said Little Dicky's the best rapper, and you spam anime emotes everywhere. You're fucking cringe. You're a fucking loser. Shut the fuck up. All right.
Does it feel like, so for Devin and anybody else who followed any of this, did it feel like if I would ask Hasan like, hey, can you just answer this one question about your position, that he was like incredibly reluctant to do so? Or do you think I'm being like pushy and like trying to like make him answer something?
To be honest, dude, I didn't understand a fucking thing you guys were talking about. You guys are like bumblebees, like back and forth, like, and I have no fucking idea what's going on.
Right,
something about like Hillary Clinton sacrificing babies or something. I don't know, dude. Like
once Bolivia, I kind of like lost it with Bolivia. I didn't know.
Bolivia was lit.
What they were saying
I feel like I learned something. I don't know what I learned, but
what
I feel
they were
like I learned
saying
something.
was Bolivia basically rigged the election for a certain candidate to win, and people were saying that the case is the same for America, and this is another Bolivia 2.0.
Holy shit! You actually caught a lot of that, yeah.
Have you ever talked about who you're voting for, Destiny?
No, why would you do that? Why would you 90-degree make me the bad guy?
No, I'm not going to bad
Honestly,
guy.
I think that the guy that I would vote for would be the guy that would be most likely to do a ketogenic diet. So.
I was just curious because I can't put my finger on it.
Honestly, I haven't done enough like research into their political positions because like why bother when so many people are dropping out? I'll probably do it when they're just a few left.
Yeah.
But I would support almost any Democrat over Trump at this point.
What about you, Devin?
Well,
statistically and analytically, whichever candidate best supports my business ideals, then I will have to.
I cannot actually answer this question because it would affect my brand agency deal, so I have to pass. Sorry.
That means Trump.
I'm voting Trump or Bloomberg.
Don't even joke about that. that's.
Well, the only answers are Trump and Bloomberg.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I don't know who the.
You would not answer differently if the answers were not one of those.
Yeah, that was like the worst answer
you would
could have
answer
given,
differently.
possibly. That's
I'm
like somebody
so
says
sorry.
like, "Do you hate black people?" And you're like, I would answer that, but I think it would hurt my brand to say something. So I'm just gonna go ahead and refrain. Like,
no,
it's not about that. It's about polarizing.
Hold on. You were the one that was like, "Oh, he means Trump." Like, no, you don't know anything about it. I just don't want to get political. That's why. I said
sure. That's a good answer though. Like, oh, I just don't want to get political. But when you say like it would hurt my brand, that makes it seem like the answer would be really bad.
Getting political would hurt my brand.
That's the way Devin said it is the way that I took it. I thought you meant like You're just going political. Like even me, like I just kind of like say stupid things.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I try to stay away from politics because holy fuck, when you and Hasan talk about it, it's like so like the fucking.
No, that's totally fair.
Kind of grating. Yeah.
Even if it wasn't like, so for some streamers, like there's no real reason to get political. Like why divide your fan base or whatever? It's not
exactly.
Yeah.
Or in my case, right? Like if I say something on a podcast, like yeah, this guy's great, and then like there's some strong feelings and some agency about that. Then it's going to affect the deal. That's what I try to say. I could have.
Yeah, definitely. That's a totally reasonable position to have if you're a huge Trump supporter. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I really try in my life to not do this, but I feel like I do it sometimes. Where like I'll be in chat and somebody will say something that pisses me off, and I'll assume the most negative intent of it, right? And like I'll ban them for it, but then. Dude, that's one of the worst things I ever feel bad about on my stream is like somebody will come back to me and be like, hey, like I'm really sorry I said that. And, I guess I was an asshole and I didn't see it. And then I'm the asshole. And oh my fucking God, I feel so bad about that shit.
I actually like, one of the things I've considered doing for some of my debates is to have like a second person that just sits on Discord and be like, dude, you are totally not looking at this the right way right now. If you go back and you listen, I'm using debates as an example, but you can go back and listen to a lot of, you can do this with arguments you've had with girlfriends or friends or whatever, and like read the logs again. And if you try to view it differently, you can be so fucking shocked by how like off you were like reading some of the things. Like I've gone through some Discord conversations before, like with a clear head later, and like before, like somebody would say something and I would interpret everything in the most passive aggressive fucking way possible, and then I'd go back and read it and I'd be like, wait, fuck, this person wasn't being mean at all. Like I'm reading this so incorrectly. There's a Kane Peele sketch about the Kane Peele sketch about this.
Oh, the Twitter, the tweets.
Not the tweets, but it's two guys.
The text messages.
It's two guys texting each other. Yeah, and one guy's like, "You want to go tonight?" And he's like, "You want to go? What the fuck?" Like, and like the whole thing is like a misunderstanding. And it looks like a stupid sketch, but it unironically happens in real life.
It's real.
Yeah, if you go back and watch on stream or like read through some text conversation sometime that somebody was like, "Dude, you were totally not seeing me." They're like, it's actually really surprising how like lost you get in your own world when you're having a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, that's why like if people message me for an unban, sometimes I don't see it, but like if people message me for an unban. I'll almost always be like, yeah, like, if they apologize and like, why'd I get banned, whatever, I'll like, tell them this is why you got banned. And like, okay, I'm sorry. And I'm like, whatever, just unban them. Like, it's fine. Cause they know, like, if they did something weird, like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's actually my policies. If anybody emails me for an unban, I unban them from any platform for almost any reason. Cause I figure like if you care enough to actually email me to get unbanned, you're probably going to contribute to the community in a way to not get banned in the future.
Usually,
right, that's a good point.
Usually what I do to explore the context is I click their logs. So like all of us have access to if you're a moderator or you're a streamer, you have access to every individual's logs just by clicking their name in chat. I click their name in chat and I read all their previous messages, like for like maybe a day up, and then based on that I'll kind of get an idea of what he meant in that sentence he just typed. Now obviously it doesn't account for someone having a really bad day, but I do think it does excuse that bad day because it's given the benefit of the doubt. So usually before I permaban, I check like a day's logs and see what's going on. Is he just a really fucked up person that made it, got through the cracks? Or is he just, A, having a bad day, or B, maybe not meaning it the way I'm taking it? That's what I do. And I've like, these are things I've learned because I've banned a lot of people. So it's very helpful. I recommend you guys use it. Yeah. But anyways.
I feel like the worst feeling is like when I like mistake somebody's intent and then it's all for the wrong reason.
Oh, and you like go off on them sometimes?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the worst.
Yeah, and it's like someone was like, "Oh, like I didn't even mean it that way. Like I'm really sorry," and then I just feel like a complete. I've actually like really tried to fix this because I feel so bad about it. Yeah. It's
hard though as a streamer. It's a lot of information you have to sort through, and then we're so used to being attacked online, you kind of almost read everything negatively. Yeah.
That you're like automatically in defensive mode because you're like, oh, this is obviously going to be negative.
And the payoff is almost better. I'm not going to lie. I unironically thought for a long time, I think it was like months this emote was up. I didn't know that haha was supposed to be ironic laughter. So there was a lot of time where I thought I was getting a lot of laughs from chat and it was actually people hahaing me and I didn't realize it was an ironic emote. So sometimes I think it's better to just assume the fucking worst about people. Fuck them. But no, yeah, you shouldn't do that though. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a good podcast.
Yeah, man. It was something.
No, I actually think it was. I mean, I know Hasan, doesn't want to at all see what I'm saying or agree or even give in a little bit. And maybe he truly believes he doesn't like you at all. But what I saw there was more like, two brothers fighting it out. Like I didn't see that as like two enemies. I saw two brothers that didn't see eye to eye fighting it out.
Like,
That's what I saw.
The problem is that like when a lot of people belong to groups, a lot of people find a lot of meaning in these groups. So when somebody attacks something related to your group, you feel like personally attacked. And you see this on like a wide variety of things. This isn't just political, but like when someone attacks Squad W for you, Trey, and I'm sure that to some extent you feel like personally attacked by it. Or if somebody attacks Twitch as a platform, or gamers, or PC gamers, or League of Legends players. Well, no one would defend League players, not even League players. But like in all these other groups that we would belong to, yeah, people feel like attacks are personal. So like when I attack, I hate Hasan's politics through and through. Like I don't even think it should be on any platform. It's so fucking horrible. I hate him that bad. But like for Hasan as a person, like I don't hate Hasan at all. I think he's fun to hang out with. Like I've enjoyed my time hanging out with him. Like everything has been funny. I'm not going to sit here and like make up lies that I hate like all the time I spend in real life with Hasan. That's ridiculous. But for some people, like the attacks on your politics, they feel like very personal. Like if you go back to the VOD here, like Hasan was the first one to start making personal attacks at me or whatever. Like before I was just criticizing political positions. I went in personal afterwards, of course, because hell yeah. But like a lot of people do feel that. So it really isn't just some people like, oh, well, I think it's brotherly love. Like some people do feel personally attacked when you go after like political positions they have because it's like part of their identity.
Great show tonight, guys. Please go give a follow to twitch.tv/Destiny, DESTINY. Go give him a follow. He plays games, talks about political stuff, and does other stuff. IRL streams, lunch, dinner, everything. He's going to, some big stuff coming from, doing some good stuff, setting up some good hype streams, IRL, and some good stuff. So go over there for some political analysis and some League of Legends. And whatever other game that is that he moves around, and there's a bunch of fucking like cranes and fucking factories and whatever the fuck that is.
All right, thank you. I love you. It's been fun.
Yep. I love you too, buddy. See you later, man.
I know you don't accept apologies, but I apologize.
Exactly, I don't. Because you're not accepting.
Do you not
feel better
accept
about your dumbass shit.
Can we just do this whole...